What's going on, guys? Before we end the show today, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, Podcorn. Podcorn's a marketplace that connects podcasters like ourselves, maybe like you guys, to all sorts of amazing sponsorship opportunities. We vouch for Podcorn because Podcorn gave us our first advertising opportunity, these ones you've been hearing most recently. It was super simple for us to get started. We signed up, verified our RSS, took us like 5 minutes. We're already able to go through a huge list of opportunities, people looking to sponsor podcasts. You don't have to be a huge podcaster. We're not. You just need to have a show, be ready to pitch yourself, and find brands that fit your show and what you want to do. My favorite part about Podcorn is you get to tell them what you're worth. You can list your price when you go through those sponsorships. So if you just want to start making some money off your content, check out the link in our show notes, or just head over to podcorn.com. Thanks again to Podcorn for sponsoring today's episode. Now, let's get to our show.
Hey, this is Oliver Luck, and you're listening to the XFL Extra Point Podcast.
Since the day you saved my soul, you've been proving
This is yes.
What's going on, guys? XFL Extra Point number 23. This is Justin. I'm here with Thomas. Thomas, say something so people know you exist.
Investigate 311.
Like the band 311?
I know a drugstore cowgirl.
Yeah. Or, Amber is the color of your energy.
That's a good song, too. Actually, that was not the first 311 song I ever heard, but that's like everyone's favorite 311 song.
What's the other one? That's the other one that's like,
Sunset in July.
Yeah. Sunset in July,
Rockers
time will
by
pass
my
you
side.
by. Yeah, that song.
I know like 4 311 songs.
Yeah, me too. What a weird
That was the
shout-out.
most successful fucking say something so you don't hear it.
That's probably the best one yet.
Oh man, maybe I should just have more obscure references to shit. I think that
Yeah.
would work out well in my favor.
All right, guys. So today is a little bit different because we're at the halfway point. This is our recap episode that we do every Monday, but it's coming out later on Monday because the games ended at like 11:30 last night.
Yeah, and when you gotta be at work early, fuck that noise.
Yeah, so we were like, all right, let's just do it tomorrow. And hope all works out, and hope you guys don't hate us, and hope we have the same listener numbers as usual.
Yes.
But anyway, we're going to do the same stuff we normally do, but with a slight tweak. No listener questions this week because we had something else we want to put in its place. Also, no goofy power rankings because this thing we have might take up a chunk of time, and what we're talking about is the Midseason Awards that we're going to hand out today. And it's the most official Midseason Awards. Like, I think people will be coming to us being like, thank you for the compliment
Yes.
that you've given us.
People will just be sucking our dicks left and right.
PJ Walker will like come over to my house, we'll like chill, like have a beer
Like, chill, have a couple beers. What's with you and having beers?
because I like beer.
It's like you're like, let's go get a beer.
I just like beer. I mean, like we can have wine too. I like wine.
Oh, see, I've never really drank
just
wine.
not-
Never had a wine.
See, I'm not
boys
I'm not a
weekend.
cocktail guy. I don't do cocktails.
I don't think I've ever had a cocktail in my
So,
life.
yeah, it's just beer and wine for me.
Hmm.
But anyway, aside from my drinking habits that I'm trying to correct,
Yes.
let's get into our show. Actually, let me plug things before we do that.
Let's do that.
So this week we don't have listener questions, but if you ever want to ask listener questions, there's 2 ways to do it. One way that no one ever does is to email us at extrapointcontact, not at, well, I guess at, this always confuses me, extrapointcontact@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can just message us on Twitter, DM us on Twitter, respond to the tweets when we ask for listener questions at XFL Extra Point on Twitter. You can also follow us there to support the show. If you guys like the show, if you've been liking the show for however many months we've been doing it, best way to show that you like the show is to go down to like the ratings on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Give us 5 stars, comment on it. Do that on whatever you listen to this on, and that helps us a lot. Podbean, Stitcher, Spreaker.
actually
I
know
think
of
we're on
Stitcher.
Spreaker.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we're on a bunch of random shit. But anyway, all right, let's get into the content and stop
All
plugging
right.
our shit.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So, first thing we're going to do is Midseason Awards. As I said, this is a highly prestigious awards for us. We thought long and hard about this, as in, I thought about it for about a week, but didn't put it to paper until like 6 a.m. this morning.
And I did it about 45 minutes ago.
But I'd say most of them are pretty obvious. I threw a couple fun ones in there. Obviously, we're going to do the same things in general that we did. I almost thought about cutting some of it, but I was like, fuck it. More
Fuck
content.
it. Yes.
We're going to do the same things we essentially did for, what do you call it? The predictions. So we're doing
Yes.
like best quarterback, best wide receiver, best running back, that stuff. We also threw in like best fans, biggest surprise in a good way, biggest surprise in a bad way, things like that.
Yep.
Actually, only those three things that I mentioned are different. So not things like that, those things.
Yes.
But
Those
anyway,
specific things.
let's just go category by category. I'll say mine, you say yours, and then we'll discuss. Okay?
All right.
All right, so we're starting off with best fans. For me, I am going DC Defenders. Who are your best fans, Thomas?
My best fans are the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Okay, so I'll full transparency. I put Battlehawks in the honorable mention because they like to fill up stadiums. So
Yes.
Is that the reason why you have them as your best fans, because they like to fill up stadiums?
That and St. Louis just kind of seems a little more hungry for football than some of these
Yeah.
other cities. So
Yeah, we predicted that, and that's a good reason. But I wanted
Yes.
to go a little bit outside of that and just like the atmosphere when you go when you see the games on TV. And DC has been good, but yesterday, so we're doing this Monday, so Sunday.
Yes.
Yesterday was a good example of a great atmosphere for
yes,
the XFL.
that's awesome.
With the DC Defenders, and that's why I selected them. Is I love that beer snake. I love seeing Oliver Luck come up with the cup and hand him, and they're
was
chanting
so
MVP.
good. That could not have been like a better move. That was so.
was
It
smart.
probably wasn't like calculated, but that's just great to see. Again, I don't want to keep comparing to the NFL, but such a stark contrast. It's fantastic.
Just like, can you imagine Roger Goodell going out there and being like, "Fuck yeah, beer snake"?
They'd start throwing shit at him. So whatever.
I'm sure someone's about to hear my water bottle that I just drank out of.
That's okay. Stay hydrated, homie.
Some other honorable mentions I threw in here were the Dragons, because they also like to fill up stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Roughnecks. But here's the reason the Roughnecks don't make it for me, even though they don't fill up stadiums quite like the other two. They have a good atmosphere, but the problem with them is, like, their team's winning. Like, I wonder how much that would wane if they were not winning, not doing so good. So that's the only reason I kind of threw them in there. I do like the atmosphere. Like, I like how, like, dressed up they get and stuff. You can see in the stands. That's why I put them in the honorable mentions. But really, for me, DC Defenders and Battlehawks, those are two. I like Seattle as well.
Yep. My honorable mentions were DC and Seattle for the reasons we discussed.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our second category, and this is another fun one. This is our biggest surprise in a good way. So a team that we thought would be bad that ended up being very good or better than we thought they would be. And for me, that is the Battlehawks. For you, that is...
For me, it is a toss-up between Seattle Dragons and the Tampa Bay Vipers.
A toss-up, okay.
Yes.
I'm surprised to see the Vipers there.
Yes, and it's more because they're just... Going into the season, I was like, wow, this team's going to be terra-bad. And while they haven't exactly won yet, they're still a very fun team to watch on offense.
Yes.
Which especially you wouldn't expect watching Week 1 and Week 2. They're just a fun team to watch on offense. They have a solid defense, which we'll get into later. But didn't expect that at all. Good to see that. Good to see Kornman doing well.
Yeah, so the thing that's why this is going to be different for us is because we had different perceptions of what teams would be like going into the season. Whereas I projected the Battlehawks to get like 3 wins all season because I wasn't faithful in like the talent they had, though they have shown me through coaching, through a good quarterback, through just solid play that they don't need the most talent on their team. The fact that they play together well, they play well as a team, I think they're better than their talent would appear on paper.
Yes, I agree.
So that's why they surprised me.
Yes.
Like, they didn't have weapons at wide receiver. I thought going into the season they've proved to have some weapons. I didn't think I thought the running game would be good, but I didn't think you could lean on it the whole time. And then, of course, Jordan Ta'amu, you know my opinions on him before the season. Now those have changed. I believe he is the second best, maybe the third best. He's in that. He's probably tied for 2.
Yep.
Best quarterback in the XFL right now.
Yes.
You also put Seattle.
Yes. So kind of the same thing with the Vipers. Preseason, I was like, God, I don't know if they're going to be any good. Like, there are some players here that I like, but I just don't see it. They're also just kind of been a fun team to watch. That's more so on the defensive side of the ball. They're a really good tackling defense. They have really like decent players at basically every position group on defense, so that's really nice. And offense, they're not horrible to watch. They could obviously improve, but they're better than I thought they would be. So
yeah, I'd put if we were just going one side of the ball, biggest surprise in a good way is that Seattle defense.
Abysmal.
Because at one point I thought they were abysmal from what I had seen from footage of preseason. I know it was training camp, scrimmage type stuff, and practice, and I was like, I don't know about their secondary. They're one of the best teams at forcing turnovers in the league right now. So that's great, and that makes them fun to watch for me. All right, let's move on to our third category, and this is the biggest surprise in a bad way. All right,
Yes.
for me, I put the Renegades. For you, you put...
The Renegades.
Yeah. Okay. We
Fuck.
were on the Renegades heavy
Yes.
during the offseason.
Yes.
Because they, on paper, should be the best team. They had this quarterback who was supposed to be the shit. They had wide receivers that we all thought were the shit. They had running backs we thought were the shit. They had defenders that we thought were the shit. And some of those guys are still the shit. But, like, they don't come together in quite the way that I thought they would come together.
Yes.
I think the thing that's been most disappointing for me is their passing game and how it works out.
Yep.
It doesn't help that, like, you had a quarterback that should have been the shit, and he's, like, okay. He's, like, average to me, Landry Jones. But then he misses week 1, plays for 2 games, then misses another week. That doesn't help. So I think you have to factor injuries into it. But, like, guys like Jazz Ferguson aren't making as big of an impact as I thought. Guys like Haloi Kikaha, who retired, didn't make as big of an impact as I thought he would. Darren Smith isn't even making as big of an impact as I thought he would, so that would be the thing I would point out.
Yep. I agree with most of that.
Anything else in how they disappointed you?
I really thought this would be the prolific offense. I thought this would be the offense to beat. Really disappointed in Jazz Ferguson. Really thought he would kind of find his role here, and I thought he'd be a quick springboard to the next level. Mm-hmm. So far, he's been not that.
Right.
So really hope that something clicks and they turn around, but I don't see that happening. So
Another
sucks.
problem is that on paper they should have one of the best coaching staffs, and I think
Yes.
they make a lot of bad decisions. Their
Yeah.
coaching in
Yep.
terms of how they're running their offense. Also, how Mummy now fired essentially. I think he got demoted to offensive advisor, but we have a new offensive coordinator now for them. You can
That's
tell
rough.
things aren't going how they thought it would be going with
Break
that
your
offense.
fucking leg and you get demoted. It's rough.
Yeah. I have reasons. We'll talk about that when we get into our preview of that on why that happened and why it probably should have happened. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to now. Let's talk a little. These are more like straight on, not as fun. And you think about these are okay. We're gonna start with best quarterback. All right, this one's obvious.
It's
We
PJ
both
Walker.
agree. Yeah,
It's
we
PJ
don't even
Walker.
have
I
to
mean-
do all this, fancy reveal. It's PJ Walker.
Yeah.
Dude's electric. Dude's gonna be in the NFL. Probably gonna be a backup, but like solid backup.
Yeah.
In the NFL, and everything he's been able to do this season is just incredible. He leads the league in passing yards. I think he still leads the league in touchdowns. And what makes it even crazier is like pre-season, during the offseason, we weren't looking at that team as like they have a number of weapons at wide receiver, and so
Yep.
it makes me question how good are their wide receivers, or how good is PJ Walker?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's all. Obviously, Cam Phillips is good, and we'll talk about him in a second. But I think PJ Walker makes that team work. He maybe last 2 weeks struggled more than he struggled all season, but even
also,
with that, he's
yeah.
better than everyone.
His struggling is a lot of other quarterbacks is like decent games. So
That's what I'm saying. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying. He's a step above. Honorable mentions here for me: Jordan Ta'amu and Josh Johnson. You have the same ones because
Yes.
it's obvious. Those are our top 3 guys, and they're clearly that's tier 1. Well, Philip Walker's in tier 1. Tier 2 is then Jordan Ta'amu, Josh Johnson. And then it goes down from there.
yeah.
So okay. Nothing else you want to say about PJ Walker, I assume?
No.
No. There's not much we have to say here.
No.
Best
he's
wide
super
receiver
fucking good.
goes in tandem with the first one. That's Cam Phillips, and Cam Phillips for you too. We agree here. Obviously, you know what? I've been trying to watch his tape and try to figure out what makes him so damn good, and I just can't figure it out. The dude is so strong because he doesn't look all that big. Like how tall is Cam Phillips? Let me look.
I think he's decently tall.
Cam Phillips. He is 6'2", 201. It's not the biggest guy in the world, but it's also not the smallest guy, right? I think
He's got
he
a big
looks,
frame.
Yeah, and he is hard to take down.
Yeah, he's
Like,
got a
he's
big
really
frame.
good at,
and
like-
he's not like he's not like not spindly. Like he doesn't necessarily have like skinny limbs.
Yeah,
So he knows how to use his weight.
yeah. I think he's great in a goal line situation when you're throwing it to him, because I've seen a lot of his touchdowns have come like maybe like 10 yards, and they don't throw it into the end zone. They throw it like 3-4 yards away from the end zone, and he can break through 2 tackles and always get into the end zone. He did that last week. He's done that a few weeks in a row here. But also deceptively fast, because I don't think he's on paper, when you look at his 40 time and things like that, one of the fastest guys. But he gets over the top a lot. And I'm curious, maybe he thrives in this scheme, this run and shoot, where the wide receivers have to make the decision. Maybe he's just a fantastic decision maker.
Maybe.
That could be it, because you have to think about that in that system. But, yeah, why do you think he's so good? What else sticks out to you about him?
I mean, it's just watching him, it's just really... It's almost like just what you see is what you get with him. Like, he's one of those players where you look at him and you're like, damn, he's just good.
Right. It's like it's hard to dissect his game into what's making him good.
And I think a lot of that also has to do with the current talent level he's playing against.
That's true.
And I think we would kind of see a little more holes, or not holes, but just necessarily things that he'll lean one way instead of the other. So there's nothing really much to say. Just damn, he's good at this point.
Yeah, it sticks out that he's like, because in this league we were on that we thought the wide receiver talent in the XFL was probably going to be the best of the best in terms of like compared to the other talent pools. But really, I think what plagues a lot of teams is drops.
Yeah.
And Cam Phillips is really solid. I don't know how many drops I can count, like I can think of off the top of my head, if he's had any.
Yeah.
Because none of them stick out to me.
Yes.
He's just the most solid guy, and he's consistent, and I think that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about our honorable mentions here for a second. We both put Dan Williams. We both put all the same guys now that I'm looking. Dan Williams, Trey McBride, and Nelson Spruce. All respective great guys for their team. Trey McBride and Nelson Spruce on the same team.
Yep.
And this was a team that we thought didn't have weapons. Now, the unfortunate fact is that they haven't played together all too much.
Yes.
So maybe we'll see that production, once they're both back together, that production will probably slow down for each of them. But they're both top of the, if you look on like stat leaderboards, they're both at the top. But that's because they're very prolific when they play. I'm curious to see them playing together. The numbers will probably drop, but the offense will probably be better. So,
yeah.
Dan Williams, same thing. I think he reminds me a lot of Cam Phillips in the way that he's very sure-handed and very consistent threat. You don't have to worry about him making mistakes.
He's a very well-rounded
that's why I like
receiver.
Dan Williams.
So
Yeah. There's not a lot of flaws in his game to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to best running back, and I think we agree on everything here, damn near. Best running back, we agree at Devion Smith, all right? That's the Vipers running back. Dude is an absolute bowling ball, despite not looking like a bowling ball.
Despite not looking like a bowling ball.
You know, because some power backs, you're like, that's all you're good for.
Now, he's a big dude.
He's a big dude, but he doesn't play like...
Yeah.
Like, it's not that he's like, I'm a power back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's not your traditional power back. He's just like a... And I hate to say this because this is an unfair comparison. So I'm not comparing him to this person. This is another player who was a powerful running back who was not a power back, like Adrian Peterson. He's not Adrian Peterson, but he's, you know, Adrian Peterson wasn't a power back. He was a 3-down back. You had him in on every down.
Yeah.
And you'd run him to the outside. You'd run him up the middle. You could run him any way, but he was super powerful. The first guy usually wouldn't take him down. Same thing with Devion Smith here in the XFL, where the first guy's not taking him down. It's going to take a couple guys, but it's not that he's slow and just he can get you 3 yards with 6 people on him. Though he can do that. He can also break it outside. He's great in the open field. I like Devion Smith a lot.
I like him as well.
Our honorable mentions here are all the same. Matt Jones, Jaquez Patrick, also on the Vipers, and Cameron Artis-Payne. Who's your favorite out of those honorable mentions?
Out of those
Who would be your
honorable
second
mentions, let me think for a sec. Probably, honestly, probably Jax Patrick.
See, I'd probably go Matt Jones.
Matt Jones
I think
is probably...
his problem is he isn't utilized enough.
Yeah. I just really like
Also,
Jax Patrick.
He seems a little banged up. I do like Jaquez Patrick a lot.
Jaquez
a
Patrick.
lot. I think he's a
Jax.
great... I don't know, honestly. Is it Jaquez?
Jaquez? I have no clue. Jaquez?
Jaquez.
I don't know. We're bad at names here, folks.
We are.
Yes.
But I like Matt Jones. I think if he was used more in the offense that he's in, he would have much better numbers. And with that said, he doesn't get used enough. Also still had... Oh, wait. No, I'm mixing that up in my head with Cameron Artis-Payne. No, Matt Jones is used plenty.
He's used plenty.
No, Matt Jones, I think he's solid. I just think he has a lot of running backs around him. But yeah, Matt Jones is great. I think Cameron Artis-Payne is who I was talking about in that he doesn't get used enough, but if he was used more, he would be higher up on the leaderboards. I think he's somewhere around 4th or something like that if you look on rushing yard totals. But he doesn't get the ball enough.
Yeah. Well, he's in the most committee of all time, so.
Yeah. And technically, Matt Jones is too, in the fact that he has Kristen Michael.
That's true.
Right there
and
with
I guess
him, who we
Keith
thought
Ford,
would
too.
be good, and that we thought, and then they have Keith Ford, who's kind of come alive as a good change of pace. But Matt Jones is getting it done. I just think Cameron Artis-Payne doesn't get enough carries, and I think he should get more carries.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to let you talk a little bit more about
All right.
these
You want me
guys.
to do
I
the
say
first
everything
category, then?
before you can. All right, do best tight end for us. We agree.
All right, so best tight end. We both completely agree on this, and it is Donald Parham of the Dallas Renegades. Now, for both our honorable mentions, we also have Brandon Barnes, and I would just like to say the gap between Donald Parham and Brandon Barnes is huge.
Yeah, there's not another tight end in the league who's at Donald Parham's level. He's the number one guy on that team.
Yes, that's just kind of how it is. If I had to add another secondary honorable mention, it would be Nick Truesdell. Even though statistically he's not there, I think talent-wise he is. But he just got to stay healthy and he's got to get a little more production. But yeah, Donald Parham, even though he's listed as a tight end, he is not. He's a receiver basically. He's a big old straight line receiver. It's kind of the same situation almost as quarterback. There's really not much else to say about him. Just you can look at his stats, you can watch the game tape back. He's their go-to guy. Brandon Barnes is actually a pretty nice safety blanket for the Wildcats, though. He's not really overly fantastic at anything. He's more of a receiver than a tight end, but he can still block, and he can still kind of be your burly boy in line. But I do think he's a very nice player, and he'll be a nice safety blanket. I don't want to say for years to come, because hopefully he gets a shot at the next level, but that's just kind of the player he is. He's not necessarily a superstar at the position, but he's nice. He's a nice player to have.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
The difference between that is, like, Donald Parham's not used as a tight end, whereas Brandon Barnes is used as a tight end. Like, yes, he's more of a receiving tight end, but he is, like, he is the safety blanket type of tight end. The guy you sit in the middle of the field for when the thing's getting open downfield, or things aren't getting open downfield. You just throw in him, get 5 yards. Donald Parham's not using that same way. That's why statistically he's so much better. It helps when you're 22 and 6'8" and fast. So, yeah, he's a step above everyone else. He's a guy who will get an NFL shot, I'm sure of. Though he's not typically a tight end. It might not be at tight end. Or it might be at tight end, but in, like, certain packages.
Yeah.
It won't be as a traditional tight end. Okay, let's move on to, we're getting close to the end here. We're about halfway through our categories in these Midseason Awards, the annual Extra Point Midseason Awards. We're now at Best D Lineman. This one's kind of hard because no one stood out incredibly, but I think I'm gonna lean on statistics here and go with Kayvon Walker.
Okay.
Who do you have?
I have Anthony Johnson.
Right. Okay, so I have Anthony Johnson in my honorable mentions, obviously. My problem with Anthony Johnson and why he's not going over at Kayvon Walker is I think he is more a specific... Like, he doesn't play the whole game. I think Kayvon Walker
you think
plays
he's like a
more of the game.
situational pass rusher?
Yeah,
basically?
he's a situational pass rusher. You bring him in when you're trying to get a sack on the quarterback, as they did in the last game. Whereas Kayvon Walker he's all around. Let me pull up his stats real quick because he's all around. Let me pull these up real quick. Where is Kayvon Walker? Let me find him. But he gets a lot of tackles for loss. He gets a lot of sacks. He's the league leader in sacks.
Yep.
Right now he has 9 quarterback hits, 4.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. I think he's just effective on every play, despite that Guardians defense and that Guardians pass rush not being the best. Him playing at the D-tackle spot is a bright spot, though I don't know how much he helps in the run in terms of helping his linebackers, but I think he is one of the bright spots on that defensive line, and that's why I would put Kayvon Walker there.
Yep.
Why do you have Anthony Johnson ahead of him?
I think just skill set and talent wise. Now the DC Defenders have had a rough couple of weeks. This past week was actually a really, really good bright spot for them. Mm-hmm. But I just think, again, I think it's baffling that the Wildcats were not like, please stay. Because just if you look at the talent and the skill set, it's all there. I mean, he's got basically everything. He's got the toolbox as a pass rusher. He's got the anchor to set the edge if that's what he's doing in that particular play. I just like Anthony Johnson a lot. He's just good. Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree if we were doing it like purely off of how much talent I think that they have. I think he has a lot of talent, but he's not. He's used as a situational guy, so the production isn't on par there for me.
That's fair.
But that's all I'd say. Okay, So let's talk about our honorable mentions. We both have Gabe right here. I'll let you talk on him, and then I'll talk about my guy I have separate.
Okay, Gabe Wright has kind of always been one of my favorite dudes, even when he was kind of bounced around the NFL. He's just a solid player. He knows his role. He'll always kind of maintain his gap integrity. He'll always kind of be like, "This is my gap. There are many other gaps like it, but this one is mine." So he opens a lot up for linebackers and rushers coming in. He's not necessarily a flashy player, but he just does his job. And I don't know, I like that a lot. He'll always kind of be around the play, and even if though I make it seem like he's just kind of like the space taker upper, he's got some serious pop off the ball, and he'll drive offensive linemen back. So I think he's not a premium player, but he plays very, very well, and he'll definitely be a key cog in any really defense.
Right. Okay, for me, I also have Gabe Wright, but I'll talk about Bunmi Rotimi, who is also on the Guardians. So it's another Guardians D-tackle, and I want to bring him up. I don't think he is at the same level of Kayvon Walker in terms of how much pressure he brings on the quarterback. I value pass rushers a lot more than I value other types of D-linemen, but he's not a sack master. I think he's good at just pushing the line back a little bit. Like, he's good at getting off of his blocker, though I don't know in the same way we've seen the struggles that team has in terms of moving offensive line. I think he's better at getting off of his blocker. He's just solid all around. I think we have games. I think what happens a lot with these D linemen is one D lineman has a good game, and the next week he does nothing, and then nothing and nothing, nothing. But when your team is always kind of productive in some way, whether that be getting tackles for loss, he has one forced fumble on the season, just bringing a little bit of pressure to disrupt passing lanes, that kind of thing, and that's why I'd put him there.
Okay.
And, you want to talk about Andrew Ankara?
Sure. Andrew Ankara, as listeners of the show have known, has kind of been my boy for a while. I really do like him. I really do like what he brings to the table. He has gotten better over the course of the season, which is exactly what I needed to see from him. Right. He's still very young. He's still quite raw as a pass rusher. Needs to do a little bit more work on getting off the ball and setting the edge as a defensive end. But as I keep saying every time we kind of bring him up, he definitely has all the tools needed to go to the next level and succeed. So this season he's been decent. Not really like a someone who kind of jumps off the screen at you, but just little tiny things have improved. He's gotten more pass rush moves. He's worked a club in. He used to just be one of those guys who's like, I have a swim move, and that's all he would do. But he's gotten a little more. He's got a bit more of a rip in there as well. He's just developing. He's a developing prospect that I think will probably stick around unless a team really, really likes him. But if he does stick around, I expect him to develop even more and probably be one of the premier defensive linemen next year. So,
cool. All right, let's move on to our best linebacker category. We agree here. We both have DeMarcus Gates here. You know what I really like about DeMarcus Gates?
What do you like about DeMarcus Gates?
You know what I love about him? It's like he's not, he is productive, right? But he's not like the team's leading tackler. He's not like the team's leading. He just seems to always make a big play at the right time.
Yeah.
I think that's his biggest key quality. Now, he is solid in all the other categories, but it just seems like he's clutch.
Yes.
I think clutch goes a long way.
I
and
agree.
when you're considering these categories, there's always a factor of who gets talked about and who has highlights. And so when you make the game-ending play, you're going to get a lot of highlights and you're going to get a lot of Twitter love. And yes, I think DeMarcus Gates is a great player. He might not be on the same level production-wise as a guy like, for me, Steven Johnson, or a guy on his team, which I cannot say his name, Beniquez Brown.
That's close
who
enough.
Is the team's leading tackler. And they might not be affecting the play as often, but because he makes those highlight plays, because he makes game-ending plays, that's why he gets this best linebacker slot for me.
All right.
And I'd assume the same for you.
Yes. As you said, he just kind of always seems to be the one to make the big play. He's a complete linebacker. He can cover, he can play the run, or at least he's been put in scenarios where he can do both and it isn't a problem. And he just, like you said, he always seems to be the guy for their defense. So it's just nice.
So our honorable mentions, let me look at yours real quick. You have Terrence Garvin. I don't have Terrence Garvin. So why do you put... I considered putting Terrence Garvin there, I'll be honest, but go ahead and explain.
He had a rough game last week, as long as the rest of the St. Louis Battlehawks defense did. But Terrence Garvin, this might have been a couple episodes ago, but him and DeMarcus Gates, and I guess Steven Johnson too, are really the only linebackers that I would trust one-on-one in the open field to make the tackle when there's nothing but green grass behind them. He's been fantastic against the run for the Battlehawks. He's been a key part of their defensive success, and it was evident that when he wasn't having a very good game last game, their defense suffered. So he's just super good against the run. He is your thumper, run stopper. He is a little limited in pass coverage. He can still do it. It's just if you are relying on him, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
But I kind of have a soft spot for thumper linebackers that can kind of curl around the edge. That aren't necessarily pass rushers.
Right.
Just kind of always reading the plays and knowing what to do and just blowing up blockers, which is what he does. So
Right. The only reason I didn't put Terrence Garvin in mine, I think his tackles and his tackles for loss, they jump off the sheet, but I think I like a more complete linebacker.
Yep, fair.
And he is not, a coverage linebacker by any means. He is that thumper linebacker, which works. It's fine. You can be that. But that's not someone I'd put in my top linebackers because I like an all-around guy.
Yep.
So, anyway, we agreed. I think you have to put Steven Johnson on there because he's literally in on every tackle and every play. I put Beniquez Brown because he's one of the reasons the Roughnecks front seven is so good against the run. He's one of those guys who has a shit ton of tackles as well.
Yep.
And so those are the guys for me. Is there anyone else on your list? Now I'm getting lost in all my tabs. Is there anyone else on your list? No? Okay, we agree. All right, let's move on to best DB, and we have some disagreement here. Not really. They're the same players, but who we think is the best one of the bunch. And again, I'm leaning on who's making big plays, who's jumping off the stat sheet, because I think that does a lot for your MVP, or not MVP, but award consideration. That's why I'll put Diedrich Nichols. He's obviously the interception leader in the XFL right now. Super solid coverage guy. Tons of pass deflection stats jump out when you watch him play. He's just solid. Obviously, the biggest issue with the Roughnecks defense is their secondary, but it's not that big of an issue because the front seven's so good. And I think that leans on other players more than Diedrich Nichols, though you have to consider how much Diedrich Nichols is getting help from his front seven. But purely based on production, who I think would get more consideration, I think Diedrich Nichols gets the nod here. And you put?
William Hilliam, or Will Hill. Safety for the St. Louis Battlehawks. I kind of considered Diedrich Nichols to be my pick as well, but the more I thought about it, the more I liked Will Hill's play as a safety more than Diedrich Nichols' play as a corner.
Right.
I think Will Hill does a lot more in the run game, which naturally, because he's a safety, like that's just part of his position more. I think he's a better tackler, and I just really like the plays that he's made. Now, he has made some plays that would be the game-ending interception when the game was basically already won. But I really like Will Hill. I really like the talent he brings, and just the experience. And I really I like him. I like the way he plays more. He plays safety more than I like the way Diedrich Nichols plays corner. So
that's fair. I would put William Hilliam as my second. He is my son. He was my selection on my son episode. Because I like his type of safety. I like guys who hit the shit out of people.
Yes.
And also aren't terrible in coverage.
Yep.
And so Will Hill fits that for me. I think he's super solid. I think he's consistent, and he can make plays, and he doesn't make mistakes, and that probably comes with experience.
Yep.
So, other guys we have mentioned. We both mentioned Anthula Kelly, and we both mentioned Kenny Robinson. I think Anthula Kelly is the best coverage DB on the Vipers team.
Yep.
And I like the Viper secondary a lot, so that goes hand in hand for me.
That's pretty cool.
So, why do you have Anthula Kelly up there besides the fact that he's probably the best coverage corner on that team?
I mean, that's really why. I think he does a lot of really good things. He keeps his fuck-ups to a minimum. He's kind of the guy that the Vipers will task to not necessarily shadow because they don't really do that. But he is their number one corner, and he plays like a number one corner.
Right.
A lot of the times he's just not thrown at because he has his guy. So I just like him. I like his technique. I like everything really about him. I think he'll do very well.
And I know you like to point out epic fuck-ups. I think he limits epic fuck-ups probably the most out of anyone on that team. Solid tackler.
Decent.
One of the league's best in terms of just pure number of tackles.
Yep.
Also, eight pass deflections on the season is helpful.
Yes.
Obviously, he's just a guy who is very solid in coverage, solid against runs, solid get off blocks. I think he's overall just the best coverage corner on that team. The other guy we want to mention, obviously, is the young stud, and that's Kenny Robinson.
Yep. He will not be here for long.
No, he will be. Well, he'll be gone in April.
Yes.
Because he'll get drafted.
Yeah.
But I think it's really impressive how young he is and how much of an impact he makes. He gets interceptions. He's good in coverage. He's definitely a coverage corner. I wouldn't task him to make a lot of tackles and try to stop the run at all. Yeah. Definitely a pure coverage. No, I said corner. Pure coverage safety.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah, pure coverage safety. That's what I meant to say. He's definitely that free safety, over-the-top kind of guy. But I like him in that role. And I think that's a role that I think most free safeties play, and that's generally what you want out of your free safety, so not a problem.
Yep.
You don't need a big tackler, and then you can get some. But I think having Kenny Robinson as just a pure coverage guy is a good move, and I think he fits that role well, and he's done well with the Battlehawks.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's move on to our more official, not best, whatever. We're going to do our defensive MVP, our MVP, our championship game, and our champion, and we agree on everything here.
Yes, we do.
All right, let's get out of the way. Defensive MVP is DeMarcus Gates. As I said, highlight plays get you MVPs.
Yep.
And he is the king of highlight plays on defense. So not much else needs to be said there that we haven't already said.
That's
All
correct.
Right. MVP for us, we both agree on here. Also, super obvious, Philip Walker.
Yeah,
All right?
there's really no other answer for that.
Yeah, I don't even know what you would say there. Unless Philip Walker, I don't even want to jinx it. I'm not even going to say anything.
All right.
All right. And let's talk about our championship game, which we agree here. That's the Battlehawks and the Roughnecks. That's our 1 and 2 teams right now. Though the Battlehawks slipped last week.
They did slip last week, but I think the Roughnecks will slip too eventually. So.
Who's the biggest competitor for the Battlehawks in the East right now? Because we know that they're tied up right now with the Defenders, the Guardians. They're all tied for 1.
Honestly, because the Vipers are in that division, right?
Yeah.
Might be them.
Do you think the Vipers, despite them being the lowest by far?
Yeah, I think they'll. See.
We're already halfway through the season, so you have to consider that.
I hope it's not the fucking Defenders. I mean, it'd either be the Vipers or the Defenders, because I don't really think it'd be.
You don't trust the Guardians?
No, I don't.
See, I trust the Guardians more than I trust the Defenders.
See, I guess, though, if I'm going off of, like, wins and losses, though, you'd have to go to New York.
Yeah, I'm thinking New York. Now that they figured out their quarterback situation, I think they have playmakers. Though they're inconsistent playmakers, I think they do have playmakers, and their defense is trending up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to say New York, don't you?
Yeah, so I'd go New York and St. Louis are the 2 teams from the East. This wasn't in our things, but now let's do it for the West as well, which is the Roughnecks, who is the second team in the West.
It's hard, just because.
It should be the Renegades, but I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't think it's gonna be either. I guess
the Wildcats.
I guess it'd have to be the Wildcats, yeah. Even though I think there's no one that's really gonna unseat them unless something catastrophic happens. So I guess you'd have to say the Wildcats.
Yeah, I'd probably say the Wildcats second in the West, but the Roughnecks are just far and above everyone, and that's why we picked them. We both picked them as our champion at this point.
Yes, we did.
I want to dissect more, but we won't do that here. I didn't think about it enough. I want to really think about that matchup.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to pin. I think the Roughnecks are going to have the better overall, so it'll probably be at Roughnecks. Well, actually, it's in Houston. I forgot. This is a championship game, so it's in Houston. You already get home field advantage. That helps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the Roughnecks pull that one out. I'll have to see. I have to think about that one more in terms of how that matchup, how close that game would be. But right now, in my head, it's more of a blowout than it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Whew. That was our Midseason Awards. How long did that take?
Yeah, about
30 minutes?
About the amount of time our viewer questions usually take. So.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's get into our power rankings.
Let's fucking do it.
All right. We're going to do it how we always do. I'll just go my 1 through 8. You just go your 1 through 8, and then we'll discuss.
Alrighty. Okay.
All right. Number 1 for me, Roughnecks. Number 2 for me, Battlehawks. Number 3, Wildcats. Number 4, Guardians. Number 5, Vipers. Number 6, Defenders. Number 7, Renegades. Number 8, Dragons.
All right. Number 1, Roughnecks. Number 2, Battlehawks. Number 3, Wildcats. Number 4, Vipers. Number 5, Guardians. Number 6, Dragons. Number 7, Defenders. Number 8, Renegades.
Okay. So we don't need to talk about 1 and 2. We don't really need to talk about 3. Mm-hmm. I guess we could say a word on it. Josh Johnson's good.
Yeah. Going on to the Vipers and
Guardians.
I kind of looking at this now and kind of following the same logic I had when you asked me about who's going to be like the second threat to the Battlehawks. I guess you could probably flip flop them and still be correct. Like how you have them.
I think it's close. So we disagree here. I have Guardians at 4, Vipers at 5. Mm-hmm. He has Vipers at 4, Guardians at 5.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy considering the Vipers are lower in the standings than the Defenders. But man, I don't trust the Defenders. I kind of agree with you in dropping them lower than I have them. Okay, I don't know how much we need to talk about the Guardians and Vipers either, but for me, what makes the Guardians better is what I've already said. I think their defense is trending upwards. So is the Vipers. For some reason, I have more faith in the Guardians offense than I do the Vipers offense.
That's fair.
Now they've gotten better. Mm-hmm. I like Luis Perez more as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I really liked last game what their offense coordinator decided to do, really leaning on the run and establishing play action.
Play action.
And I love that kind of stuff. What scares me about the Vipers, so they did lose.
Yeah.
They did lose to the Wildcats in a shootout. But you have to realize they were up like 24-6 at one point. And they went pretty much a quarter and a half without scoring any points and let the Vipers get back in the game. Let the Wildcats get back in the game. And then finally decide to start scoring again. You need to be consistent and just keep your foot on the pedal the whole game. That's right.
You do need to be consistent.
And I think you can't have quarters of not being able to do anything and just going 3 and out constantly.
Yeah.
You have to be able to keep that up. And the only reason they were even closing that game is because they were able to score so much in the first half. Imagine if it would have just been a quieter game, the teams were even, they would have got blown out.
Yep.
So we have to think about that. But what's your defense for the Vipers being higher? I know it's a toss up, but
it's kind of like you said, it's kind of a toss up. I really, if this offense is clicking, I think they're just better.
They are.
I like their
offense.
receiving units. I like their running backs.
Yes.
I'm not completely sold on Cornman yet, but he's played very, very well as of late.
Yeah, I like Cornman.
Yes. So I don't know. I see more in them than I do in the Guardians.
Right. I think they have more potential. I'm just scared. Like, it just seems like every time Mark Trestman starts butting in, they start fucking up.
Yeah.
You can see it on the sideline when he starts saying things. He's like, you can't call that, call this. And then they immediately start doing awful.
Yeah.
So I think they need to just keep him out of the game plan. I don't even know what he's there for.
Oh, man.
But he seems to make things worse when he gets involved.
Yes.
Okay. So this is where we start really heavily disagreeing. Is 6, 7, and 8, and that's the bottom tier. All these teams are pretty close for me. I almost kind of agree with you in dropping the Defenders down 1.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident in these last 3 as I was in the first 5. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel right for me to put the Dragons at the last.
Yep.
Because their defense is so good, but I just don't know if you get in a situation like when you're playing Houston that the high school offense that I want you to run is going to work as well as it should.
Yeah.
I don't know if I trust B.J. Daniels in any kind of passing situation.
Yep.
And I'm scared that if you're on 3rd and 10, you're just screwed every time you're on 3rd and 10. And that's kind of why I dropped him. It's like your defense can only do so much at a certain point. And when the run game's not working, and it wasn't working against Houston, that becomes a big problem. And I think you can't be so one-dimensional.
I agree.
So that's why I kind of put him at 8. And I bumped the Defenders up because they beat the Battlehawks, and the Battlehawks are a good team. But how am I trying to say this? You don't want. This isn't a team that should have a QB controversy right now.
Yeah.
I know that Cardale played 1 drive, and they're like, "Oh, you're done," or 2 drives. And then they come out in the press conference and they say, "Oh, no, he's still our starter."
No.
He's good. He's our starter. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Then why didn't you play him all game?
Yeah.
It's a bold-faced lie to say, because whoever it was, I don't even forget. I don't think it was Pep Hamilton, though. It might have been Pep Hamilton. That was game plan. We knew we were going to do that. You did not know you were going to do that.
Shut the fuck up.
You did not think Cardale was going to throw an interception and you're going to bench him.
Yeah.
That wasn't your plan.
This is just as planned.
So that scares me with the defenders. So I think there's definitely an argument for moving down to 7 or 8. You have the Renegades at 8.
Yep.
And what's your reasoning for that? Because the only reason I really have them at 7 is because I don't like their quarterback situation.
Same. I think it's bad enough to where I'm not really certain they'll win too many more games this year.
Yeah.
So that's purely what it is.
Well,
Their
here's
offense.
my hope now.
You go ahead.
Now that they've gotten rid of Hal Mummy, maybe they'll start running the fucking ball more.
Maybe, but
Jesus Christ.
I also just don't know. I think they have other problems on offense to where I just don't think it's going to work out.
But it's like you're going against the Guardians,
Yeah.
who are statistically one of the worst running defenses, and
Sure.
they've gotten beaten by the run every time. And you run 14 times, your entire team, and 4 of
Yep.
those were Philip Nelson running.
Correct.
Like, come on now, run the ball
Come on
30,
now.
40 times in that game and you win.
I don't know. I just don't see it. Don't see it working.
Yeah, if they can recommit to the run, they can sit in the middle of the pack. I'm just scared. They have super talented running backs. They literally did the opposite of what I told them to do, and they lost.
Why don't you just do what I tell you to do?
If they did, they would have won. They would have ran the damn ball and been safe. Nope, there's 2 interceptions. Nope, you're just shooting yourself in the foot the whole game. Or, as Jordan Tommy would say, killing yourself in the foot.
Killing yourself in the foot. I want that on a t-shirt.
What else? That's the only reason. It's just like they just don't seem to know what they're doing on offense.
Yeah, and you have to score points to win, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I really don't see them winning too many more.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to our recaps now. Let's get into this. I think this is shorter than usual. Maybe you know what I feel like the thing is
What?
that because we're not doing this at like
Yeah, it's not like we're not like,
late at night. We're
scrambling
not
for
like
stuff.
we're not like just getting through it.
We're not just like dragging ass. Yeah.
I think we can actually be a little more productive with our conversations here.
Perhaps.
Okay, let's start with game 1
All right.
of the weekend, and that was the Dragons at the Roughnecks.
Yep.
All right.
Let's address the elephant in the room with this game.
Okay.
You fucking refs. Why why did you do the thing? That's
Yeah,
bad,
that was mega bad.
bad.
Now, how much do you think they saved face by putting out their little announcement?
That's basically as hardcore as they could have gone and been fine. So they really did the best they could, but that can't happen. Can't happen.
Now, I'll cut a little slack. Now, this is stupid as shit. You got to cut some slack. You know, they're a new league. They're doing
Blah, blah, blah,
But that's
yeah.
that's general football knowledge. Like, you don't
Yes.
go, well, it's 2 games. It's 2 seconds. They're not going to come back. Just in the game.
Yeah, it's like, bitch.
It's not how football works.
That's not how it works at all. Now,
heard of
is
the Minnesota
likelihood of
Miracle?
That, yes. Well, I know you know about that. Is the likelihood of that extremely small? Absolutely.
Yes.
Could it
Were
still
they going to
happen?
come back? Probably not.
But that
They would
doesn't
have had to
fucking matter.
drive 20 yards and get the 3-point conversion. Then they would have been tied.
You can't
But-
just be like, oh, well, that's the game.
Yeah, you
that's
have to
just
give
really
them a shot.
bad. What's worse was the explanation given after because they knew they fucked up. They're like, fuck. And
Yeah.
it just that's really bad. Like I said, they did kind of the best they could in recovering from it, so that's good. But that can't happen. I don't think it's going to happen again, but that cannot happen. That sucks. Fuck. Oh, well.
Yeah, that was mega bad, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, things will be fine. We'll move on to next week, and we'll watch our teams respectively and cheer for them.
Yes.
But you don't want to make that a habit. Don't
No.
become the NFL and doing stupid shit, refs.
Yes, please no, because this is like this is why people want another league is because the NFL is they have really dumbass, stupid shit, fuck situations.
Right,
And
they shouldn't be there. And what was I gonna say? Oh, fuck, what was I about to say? I forgot my train of thought. But I know a lot of people were super angry about this, but I don't think it's the biggest thing in the world. This was probably the worst weekend in terms of officiating.
Yeah.
In whole, there was a lot of bad calls this weekend.
Yeah.
And that sucks. You don't want to make a habit of that. Don't get like exhausted and tired. Like, fire people and hire new people. If they start doing that, don't be complacent being like, all right, the NFL move here would have been like this guy who blew this. We'd go on, we'd be like, whatever, just forget about it, dude. It's not even that big a deal. That's what the NFL stance on it would be. And then we'd go on, and then like no problems would happen. And then we get to the championship game, and the guy who made this call would get to referee that game.
Yeah.
And
Jeff Triplett.
It'd be like, what? And it would reignite all that anger, and then everyone would hate the XFL. But they didn't do that. They're like, we're reassigning him. I don't know what reassigning is. Like, what do you mean?
I know. I hope he didn't get fired because I
think he probably got fired because I don't know what reassigning means.
Reassigning probably just means he's not. He'll be like an advisor instead of like the overseer, which is fine. Hopefully that he didn't just get like knocked down.
You want that guy advising the guy who was like, 2 seconds, fuck it.
I mean, like, yes, but like, it's just you got to think of the human side of it too, because like, fuck, like that would suck if that was your whole career is now gone because of that.
Aren't all these guys college referees?
Are they? I don't know.
I think that's a thing. So just send them back to college.
Okay. You're going back to college, kid.
Because you don't want that in your league, and you're gonna piss off fans of this guy every time. You don't want to start like what's the guy that all the all the Rockets fans hate in the NBA?
I know who you're talking about. His name escapes me. Hold on.
It escapes me too.
Google. Houston Rockets referee. I spelled that wrong.
What's his name?
Scott Foster.
Scott Foster, all right? You don't want whoever this guy was. I don't know his name.
He sucks.
If you don't want this guy to become the Dragons' Scott Foster.
Yeah.
So you don't keep him around. Because then they'll be like, fucking this guy, just always making us lose. Fuck the XFL dude.
Making us lose.
So, okay, you don't want to start that.
Yes.
All right, now let's talk about the actual game.
Yes, with that out of the way, let's go.
Let's talk about the actual game now. We'll start with the Dragons O, Roughnecks D. All right.
All right.
So this team,
Yep.
no longer has Brandon Silvers at the helm. He was
That's
actually
correct.
inactive for this game.
Yep.
I don't
So
know
what
what
happened
that
if
means.
BJ got hurt?
He wasn't hurt though. Because he wasn't on the injury report, was he?
I don't believe so.
And he wasn't hurt in the game. He just got benched. So why was he inactive? I am curious about that. But yes, okay. So BJ Daniels in the game. Obviously, BJ Daniels in the game. That means, hey, we're committing to the run 100% because we're. Despite 22 attempts, which isn't the worst in the world, they tried it and he completed on 64% of them. All those were kind of short, small stuff, which check downs. So yes, it was a running game. All three of the running backs got involved. The problem was it was not all too productive against one of the best, if not the best, front sevens in the XFL.
Yes.
So that's a problem here. Austin Prohl contributed as much as he could. The receivers tried to contribute, but you can only do so much when your quarterback is not a guy who can really throw intermediate anything. All his passes have to be under intermediate levels.
Yep.
Passing.
Yes.
And even with that, he's not super accurate with them.
Yes, I have written here that if BJ was more accurate, he would have torched this defense because there were times where the receivers were actually pretty open. A lot of times were on BJ Daniels' rollouts, and he just missed them. And it's just like, fuck. But it is what it is.
This is probably the worst game for BJ Daniels to get his start in.
Yeah, it's a tough test for sure.
Because the Roughnecks' run defense is so phenomenal, and their front seven and their ability to get after the quarterback is so phenomenal. You really threw him in the fire here.
Yeah.
He obviously didn't perform terribly. He ran in for... How many touchdowns did he run in for? 2.
Two.
So they got down there. This obviously wasn't a blowout.
Yeah, this was a winnable game for the Dragons.
It was a winnable game for the Dragons. Especially going into... So what was it? It was when we went into halftime. They were up 14-0?
I think something like that.
And then things started to fall apart at a time that it should have probably worked the best for you when you're trying to run out the game. When a lot of teams, when they're up, they get into the second half and they, okay, now we're coming into the run, and it tires out of defense when you run out them all game.
Yep.
But it just didn't quite work how they hoped it would work. Obviously, Trey Williams in the second quarter had that great run, but after that, it's like nothing was really productive for this offense. Houston completely committed to stopping the run, and then we saw that Houston's firepower on offense just you can't keep up with that. Just running the ball, gaining 3 yards on the ground.
Yep, it's really hard.
Anything you want to say about this offense before we move on to the Houston Roughnecks defense?
Let me take a peek at my notes here. Sorry, that was my dog. Did you hear that? I don't know.
Yeah.
You all right, buddy? Good Lord. He's just sitting here. I think he's just having a bad dream. He's having a little nap. Anyway, so Trey Williams, even though he didn't really get a lot of production, he had one really very nice series, which was very nice. This team still desperately needs a true playmaker, a wide receiver.
Yes.
The guys they have now are fine, but none of them are really like a true you're my guy type receiver. And like we mentioned, BJ's okay. His ceiling's kind of set because, like you said, he can't really. If you need a pass, he's not really the guy to do that.
Right.
You could do a lot worse than BJ, but you could also do a lot better. I don't think they would go back to Brandon Silvers at this point, even though he is a much better passer. They might work him in and kind of do something similar to what the what the Vipers did initially with Quentin Flowers. Right. But that's really the only scenario that I would see Brandon Silvers coming back again, unless Jim Zone is really if we just had a fucking guy who could fucking pass, then we'd fucking win. But that's kind of up to them. Yeah. Offensively, they were okay, but they have to be more than okay to beat the Roughnecks. So.
Right. They're 1-4.
Yep.
They're probably not making the playoffs.
Probably
I
not.
say just keep BJ Daniels out there. Don't even bother trying to win games.
Yeah.
Just try to develop BJ Daniels because I don't know if he'll get another NFL shot. Neither will Brandon Silvers probably. But I think BJ Daniels gives you more option, not more options necessarily, but
you definitely do
gives you
more
interesting.
Stuff.
He gives you a more interesting offense and a more consistent offense instead of having to worry about bad decisions and interceptions. So he did throw an interception in this game. He didn't throw very many yards, didn't throw any touchdowns, but he didn't throw an interception. So that's something to say.
Yeah.
When's the last time we could say the Dragons win a game without throwing an interception? So, all right, let's talk about this defense for the Roughnecks. Obviously, the guys who always showed up. DeMarcus Gates, Beniquez Brown, Gabe Wright, always showing up. Edmund Robinson, Gabe Wright, and DeMarcus Gates all got sacks. DeMarcus Gates did get disqualified. I don't remember. That might have been in the third quarter for throwing a punch after a strip fumble. Did he cause that fumble?
I don't know.
He did.
I actually missed this play, I guess. So, okay.
So he caused the fumble and got the fumble recovery, but threw a punch in doing so.
Don't do that.
So, but he is a great player, and he always shows up. Obviously, they were getting gashed on the ground early on, especially by BJ Daniels, because they, like us, weren't 100% who was going to start. I'm sure, so they couldn't game plan it 100%.
Yeah.
Because literally up until the game, we didn't know who was starting, and then it was Brandon Silver's inactive, and I was like, all right, BJ Daniels starting.
Well, yeah.
But they probably figured out their game plan at the half and went on to slow that offense down for the most part. The run game wasn't as efficient, so they were good at stopping that. And obviously, I want to say their coverage and their secondary is good, but it's you didn't have to do too much.
Yeah.
You could probably sit 10 yards away from the receiver and be like, all right, I'm not too worried about him running any route deeper than this.
Yeah. Now, what I will, as I said earlier, if BJ was a little more accurate, this would have been a torching of their secondary, just because a lot of guys were open.
Well, I think cause it's probably legitimately what I said, where they're like, let me sit 10 yards back and just let this guy catch passes in front of me, because it's not like BJ Daniels is about to throw over the top of me here.
Yeah. So
they probably would game plan to do that.
Yes.
I'm trying to see if anyone stuck out here that I can remember. Obviously, it's just their front seven sticks out every week, and their game plan was to get after the quarterback. Obviously, it was hard in the first. Get after the quarterback, don't let him get to the outside, and then don't let the running backs get to work. And obviously, they struggled with that a little bit early, but they definitely figured it out in the second half. Anyone you want to spotlight?
On the Roughnecks defense?
Yep.
No one that we didn't really already go over.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the Roughnecks offense, and this is maybe
business
a little
as
bit
usual.
Different. Maybe a little bit different. We've now learned that the game plan that sort of works against PJ Walker, at least in if it's, and now you look at the stat line, you're like, well, fuck that, but if PJ Walker's production is like an avalanche, okay?
Okay, I'm with
Rushing the passer is like putting up some walls and like slowing that avalanche a little bit,
I got you. It doesn't stop it.
It doesn't stop it, but you're gonna like maybe you can like get one or two guys out of the way before they get crushed by the avalanche.
Okay.
He's still gonna torch you, but he probably could have had like 500 yards in this game if their defense wasn't so damn good at like getting to him. Because
yes,
when he has to make a decision quick, and we know his problems are decision making, and those problems can go away a little bit, and they can be hidden by having a ton of time to throw the ball and being able to read and wait for guys to get open. When he just has to know, okay, so I'm looking at this coverage, all right, this guy is supposed to run, 7 yards and then cut out, all right, like the interception we saw, that one that was really bad, where he didn't look, he just threw it to who he thought would be open.
Yeah.
What that tells me is he didn't read that defense and make that decision. He was just like, this guy should be open. And that's something he struggles with. And that's reading defenses. That's part of it. And I think if you don't give him time to read a defense post-snap, because I think he's pretty good at reading post-snap. I think his pre-snap reads, they can be questionable at times. It's things like that stick out in terms of his flaws. But because he's such an arm talent, because he's so mobile, it's not really a problem. Usually, unless you can get a guy to him super quick like the Dragons did.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. That's my little rant on PJ Walker.
Okay. I think he was very, very good. The pass that he had to Sean Mobley, is that his name, or Sam Mobley?
Sam Mobley.
That when he was basically just getting destroyed and just the ball came out and it was perfect and it was like 50 yards downfield.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
awesome.
that was beautiful.
That was one of those plays where you just kind of like throw your hands up and was like, well, you
he
did
had
the best
another
you could.
deep one to Cam Phillips that was fantastic too.
Yeah,
on the right
he's just,
sideline.
Yeah, I have written in my notes here, holy fuck, PJ is so good. Holy fuck. He's so good.
Yeah.
For this league, he's head and shoulders above everybody else. Overall, I think their offense was basically business as usual. A little bit of a hiccup in the first half, but I mean that's going to happen. You're not going to be just balling all the time, and they were balling in the second half. So who cares?
For sure, we're balling in the second half. What they score 32 points in the second half because I think they were going. Oh no, what did they have in them? You know what? I can probably look. Let's see.
Well, while you're looking, I will also comment on the Houston wide receivers blocking downfield is really great. They're really good at it as far as wide receivers blocking go. Just wanted to spotlight that.
So it's like the first quarter and a half. They looked like they were going to lose this game, and then like 6 minutes and down, they were like, "All right,
fuck it.
This is when we score." Oh, I remember this pass that Nick Hawley 50-yard touchdown.
Yes, I have a comment
where
about
he was
that.
wide open in the middle of the field, and then he had one. Who was that safety that he just absolutely just like sidestepped
really
and roasted for the
bad.
touchdown?
When we got to the Seattle defense, I was going to bring that up. That was so bad.
That was
whoever that safety was, because he caught it and then he had the angle to tackle him, and then he just like froze.
He just
like
sidestepped him.
He just stopped. Like he was like deer in the headlights. So I don't know what was up with that, but that was pretty bad. I guess if you want to transition to the Seattle defense from that.
Yeah, let's talk about the Seattle defense. Actually, Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Run game worked in this one.
Yes. Andre Williams looked really nice. Downhill runner. He'll be good for like 4 or 5 yards a pop. Mm-hmm. He's good. He's definitely good in that type of role. I don't think he's your starting running back. But if you need him to be your guy where you go up the middle and you get 3 yards, that's your guy. So.
All right. Okay, now we can talk about this defense. All right.
Okay.
So did you have something you want to talk about super badly?
Really just on the Nick Hawley touchdown pass. That's awful. Whoever that safety was is going to get roasted.
Let's try to figure it out. I want to say he has a 9 at the end of his. Is it Ramirez?
DB.
Yep, that's probably him. Santos Ramirez, safety.
Okay. Well,
he had
an epic. That is an epic fuck up. That was just bad. I've watched it back several times. I don't know what happened. Like you literally had everything. You had the angle right. You had everything right, and then you just didn't do it. So I don't know what that's about, but that was really bad. But overall, really, rest of the day, really not a bad day. Just
like I said, it'd be plays where you did everything right, and then the offense just wins. So it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say this defense, besides that one epic fuck up,
Yes.
in general played pretty damn well.
Yes.
They got after PJ Walker. The secondary was solid in their coverages. Obviously, Cam Phillips had a big day, but he has a big day every week, so you can't really blame anyone
Yeah.
for that. And I think overall they played pretty well on their guys.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think what helps as well is they're basically as close to a complete defense as you can be. They really have playmakers at every position, or at least players that are fine at every position. So if they, God, that's just one play was really fucking bad. Not that it made like the difference in the game or anything, but just stuff like that where it's just like fuck.
Yeah, and obviously they forced a lot of turnovers. They had 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and this one it was a strip sack fumble. So obviously, winning the turnover battle helps. They did a ton to help their team win this game, especially in that first. It really looked like, oh man, the Roughnecks might have met their match in this one. This defense is really forcing turnovers.
Yep.
And then, not that it fell apart. I just don't think the offense was doing enough.
Yes.
And you need to be able to match up because eventually you can't hold the Avalanche forever. So you have to move.
You have to leave town
while the walls are holding up the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. The people have to move, or else eventually the Avalanche is going to get them either way.
Yes.
So I think that was the big thing here.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. All right. So that's the second game of Saturday. And this was the Guardians at the Renegades. All right. Bit of a surprise in this one, bit of a not surprise. All right?
Yes.
I laid out a clear plan of how this team could win this game. And they were like, fuck your plan. We're going to do it the worst way possible.
Yes.
So let's start with the Renegades offense, because I like to torture myself.
Sure.
No reason Philip Nelson should have had 49 passing attempts in this game.
Yeah, Jesus fuck. What are we doing? Like, oh my God. Like, run the fucking ball.
Quarterback comes in, and you're like, 49 pass attempts. Huh? That's smart.
I have absolutely no clue what they're doing with that. Like, I don't get it.
No, we have 2 great NFL experienced running backs. 8 carries combined.
So in my notes, I have underlined and bolded, fuck bro, Jesus Christ, under Renegades Offense. So, yeah, I don't know what they're doing, especially when you don't have your preferred quarterback in. Like, usually you'd be like, yeah, run the ball. Use that as a crutch. Like, figure it out. They're refusing to do that. Give me 1 second, Justin. My beer is overflowing. Let me go get a paper towel. Sorry, hold on. I'll be quick.
All right. Well, I'll vent my frustration while he cleans up his beer. Man's having a beer on a Monday. But all right. Yeah, there's no reason you should be giving Philip Nelson 49 attempts in a game.
Yeah, and that's not even to say that he played really that terribly. He didn't play well, I wouldn't say, but he played good enough to where you can do something with him. He's not a total, like, it's not a lost cause, but you got to help him a little bit. I am baffled. I've been baffled by this offense at the usage of their players, and I continue to be baffled because I don't understand. I don't know what the plan is. Like, I don't get it.
And we say this every week. You have weapons at every level.
Yes.
Except probably quarterback at this point. And even though Landry Jones, when he comes back, I still think is better than Philip Nelson.
Yes.
From what we saw, because Philip Nelson also made boneheaded mistakes. So I don't know.
He did make boneheaded mistakes. I think he might have a little better, not arm talent, but he can get the ball a little farther downfield than Landry can.
Probably.
But like
he
that's
had a couple deep passes I wasn't thrilled about.
But that's all I'm saying.
I thought the arm was there. Actually, I did think he threw him pretty far, but I think he overthrew him a couple times.
But that's what I mean. I'm saying like that's it. Like that's all he's got. So he's not really that much of an upgrade. Not really that much of a downgrade. I do think Landry is better, but
yeah.
I just like
it's just like I don't know what the defense is when you're on your backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I don't get it. Like I don't understand maybe they're practicing so much different than how they're playing that it's absurd. But
Maybe.
I just, I don't get it. I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing and the way they're doing it. I don't know what looks they're seeing or what they're not seeing to where they think that they have to have 49 pass attempts in a game. Like, that's just weird.
And you can tell that's how they wanted to build their team. I think the problem is they're probably like stuck in their way because we thought it would be a dominant passing attack, right? That was the thought. Well, then when that's not working, it's, I think, stubbornness, and that you're like, well, it's gonna work. We built our team around this. Well, the other thing's working better, dude. So just do the other thing because
well, I mean, it's
you
better
want to
to
win.
work. I just like I said, I just don't get it. I don't understand why they can't see that.
Okay. Well, that's all we have to say about this Renegades
Yeah, their
offense.
offense is a total disaster until they decide to do what works for their offense.
And maybe that'll happen. We have a new OC.
I hope it does.
All right, let's talk about the Guardians' defense. All right.
All right.
They were getting after Philip Nelson a lot in this game.
That they were.
A lot. And
Yep,
probably
yep.
because he dropped back 49 times.
Yes.
As I like to point out, when a team knows you're going to pass every play, they just like to bring the pass rush and not have to worry about your running backs. It's a great luxury to have when you're like, yeah, they're not going to run it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You know, you ran 70 plays in this game. You only ran 10 of them, so.
Yes.
So, like, yeah. And when they did run, it's not like the run was getting really working, but that's not a reason to leave the run.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it because it's gonna work eventually. That's how you tire down a defense.
I mean, it's part of football. Like you have to run.
You want to be
not-
balanced.
Yes. Yeah. It's not even like you have to fucking. Again, I just don't get it. But yes.
Biggest highlight of the day for me from this defense, Devin Askew Henry
Yep.
on Donald Parham pretty much the whole game.
Yep.
Locked him up.
He did very well.
That was pretty impressive.
Yes.
And how tall is Devin Askew Henry?
Devin Askew Henry is 5'10".
So, it's Drayvon. I thought it was Devin.
Oh wow. I am also
Drayvon.
blind.
Drayvon Askew Henry, 5'10", covering a 6'8" man, and it absolutely locked him up.
Yes.
So
Good
that's
for him.
Super impressive. I like that a lot.
Yes.
Their secondary today was solid. It's been solid. You know, it had its missteps, but I always like to. I think both sides have to be playing well, or it's going to make the other side look worse
Yep.
than they are.
Yep.
When your offense doesn't work, it makes your defense look worse because they have
Yes.
to be on the field a lot more.
Yes.
And the same goes if your defense doesn't work, it makes your offense look a lot worse too.
Yeah. I want to say Ben Heaney had another fantastic game. He's
Yes.
kind of the instinctive linebacker that I thought Scooby Wright would be.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done really good. Kayvon Walker, really good at this. Interior
Mm-hmm.
pressure is very rare, even at the NFL level, so that's really good. He might.
How
be
old
one
is
of-
Kayvon Walker?
Kayvon Walker is, I believe he was recently a rookie with the Bears. So I don't think he's very old.
He is 25. That is a man who will probably get back in the NFL.
Yes, sooner rather than later.
Yes. And I know we were always pointing out that our issues, especially when they were struggling, was that the line wasn't moving enough, gaps weren't opening up, which could still be the problem. Teams aren't trying to run on them for some reason.
Yeah.
But at least recent indications, these games that they've won, it seems like they must have improved in that area in some way.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just like rotations. I have to look at like tape and like really see who's on the field and on every
Tape.
down. But like maybe they're like taking guys off the field less often, more often. I don't know. We'll have to see. Something changed because they obviously are playing better now. They're trending upwards when they were trending massive. They looked like the
Way
worst defense in the
down.
league
Yes.
2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So okay. So let's move on to the Guardians offense. Things were working here.
All right. Things were.
Obviously, I think what they decided to do in this game was pound the rock. They did what the Renegades probably should have done. I'm just going to keep ragging on the fucking Renegades because it pisses me off. They did. All their running backs got involved. Justin Stockton, your
Yes,
guy,
he did.
despite limited carries, had a huge impact in this game, averaging
Yes.
8.2 per carry. That's pretty damn good.
He's just so explosive.
And when When you run the ball, that opens up your passing game. And that's what happened here.
Especially helps when you have
Kobe
a quarterback.
Pearson had a day. Mikhail McKay had a day. Though, Mikhail McKay has drop problems. I really got to figure that out.
Yeah. It's becoming more and more apparent. I don't know what's up with that.
He has Sammy Coates syndrome.
I don't know if it's that
Braylon
bad.
Edwards syndrome.
Okay, Braylon Edwards syndrome is better.
Where he makes these fantastic contested catches.
It's the easy ones where
It's
just
the
like,
easy
boom.
ones in the middle of the field. He just drops them. I don't know what the deal is there, but he's super talented. He's super tall. He's super lanky. He's super good at tracking the ball in the air. It's just like he has good body control. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is.
Because if you can make contested catches like he does, that obviously points out that you're good at catching the ball. I just don't. Is it a mental thing? I don't know what
It's a
makes
mental
you.
focus, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe it's the want to make a big play.
Maybe, and it's like not looking it in and all that.
Yeah,
all the stuff
I've
your
never
dad
played
tells
receiver,
you.
so I can't
Yeah,
tell.
neither did I. Clearly,
But he's better at catching the ball than Thomas, though.
I have hands of stone. I'll be the first to admit it.
But yeah, I think their offense clicked on every level, run, pass. I think things just worked. Luis Perez, accurate once again. He did throw an interception in this one. Do you remember what that interception was on? Because it's blanking. I'm blanking on it right now.
I actually don't.
Let's see.
I was so focused on the good because he if you look at his stats and you look at his completion percentage, it looks a little pedestrian, but he's good. Like
You know what it is?
definitely-
It's like Matt McGloin, what Matt McGloin should have been.
Yeah, he's
Like
just
Matt
really,
McGloin week 1, he's just consistent doing that.
Yes, he's just good. He's definitely the guy for this offense. Little things he does is great. Like we said, Aaron Rodgers light. That's his skill set. That's what he does. He's really fun to watch.
I'm trying to find. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see if I can find this goddamn
What else
play.
can I talk about?
I have
Colby
Luis Perez
Pearson's-
getting intercepted because I want to see what it was.
Colby Pearson's long pass or long reception was beautiful. That was great. That was a great pass. Like we said, Justin Stockton, really explosive, legit track speed guy. He's really fun to watch. Darius Victor, again, just a bowling ball. Stuff like that is great, and it's kind of nice to finally see them hit their stride. Mainly because their uniforms, besides their helmets, are fantastic. They look.
All right. Well, I
really
can't
good
find
like.
it, so
All right. Well,
it wasn't as easy to find as I hope. It was Josh Hawkins who got the interception, but I don't remember the play, and I'm trying to figure out whose fault it was, but I was trying to defend Luis, but honestly, not that big of a blemish. He's just super solid. He just doesn't do too much, and he doesn't do not enough. He's just
doesn't do not enough.
He's like the good porridge that you're looking for.
The good
You
what?
know, he's like a solid bowl of porridge.
I have never.
You know,
have you
like
actually
this porridge
eaten
was too
in
hot and
your
this
life?
porridge was too cold, but this porridge was just right.
What is that? The what's the name of that fairy tale? It's
Goldilocks?
Goldilocks. Goldilocks and the
Yes.
Three Bears. That's
Goldilocks
right.
and Three Bears. So
God,
like Luis
blast
Perez
from
is
the
like the
past.
good bowl of porridge.
I see. So,
Matt McGloin
okay.
is like sometimes he's the hot porridge. No, sometimes it's like
He's always
Matt
the hot
McGloin was
porridge.
like the porridge that was like good at one point, but you kind of let it sit there, so now it's not the
It
good
was
porridge.
stale. I see.
Yeah.
What's Marquise Williams?
Marquise Williams is the hot porridge.
The hot porridge.
He got a fucking cannon. He'd be
Yeah,
burning
that's
your tongue.
Yep, that's a really good analogy.
Luis Perez is just right. All right. All right, let's talk about the Renegade. I'm on with my fucking analogies today.
That's pretty good today. Gotta admit. Oh man, you tickled your pickle, huh?
I did. I like that. I like
We're talking about the
pulling it out of
Renegades
my ass.
defense.
Yeah, we're talking about the Renegades defense.
Okay, they were also bad. I don't think a lot of it was their fault. They were on the field a lot.
Yes, they were.
Man, bad is maybe a little harsh. Definitely didn't play. They were definitely worse than they are. They could have played better in stretches. No one really stood out too hard to me. Their linebackers played pretty well. They usually always do. So, whatever. Darren Smith played well. He had a really nice pass deflection. Josh Hawkins had a interception, as you said.
Yep.
But
I think they were good at
otherwise-
rushing the passer today. And they just were not good at like stopping the run.
Yeah.
And they can't rush the passer as efficiently as they usually do when you have a good run game, like the Renegades didn't have. You know.
Correct.
So, once again, I'd like to point out an error on the stat sheet that confused me.
Yes.
Why does Philip Nelson have a QB hit?
See, that's a consistent thing. Maybe it's like, maybe like someone on the stats thing is like, well, he got sacked, so that's a QB hit because he got hit. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just weird to me. But alas, here we are.
I think the pass rush was pretty good. I think against the pass they weren't too awful. It was just like the run.
Yeah.
And like the team could just run out the clock and just finish the game because you couldn't really stop the run, and chunk plays were happening, and I don't know who to blame for that off the top of my head. But I don't think the defense is the issue with this team.
Yeah.
So that's pretty apparent at this point. They figure out their offense, they'll win more games. They just got to figure out their offense.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to our third game.
Let's do it.
A game you've probably cried a tear about that you said you were going to cry a tear. Did you cry that tear?
I did cry a tear.
You cried a single tear? As you
I
said
did
you
not
would?
cry a tear, but I was.
So you're a liar.
Sure, I'm a big dirty liar.
Because you told me and all the fans here
And
that
all
if
the
the
people.
Battlehawks lost this game, you would cry one single tear.
Just this is.
I think you have to
'Cause this
rub
was
your
like-
finger in your eye so you can get one tear out.
Okay, let me just
Jesus.
stab myself in the eye real quick. Well, you know what? My allergies are acting up, so I guess I probably did cry a tear at one point during the day. So I'll say
Okay,
for that.
let's talk about Jordan Thomas.
All right, I will start. Okay. So this game kind of showed off where his limitations are at right now. His deep ball is just not there yet.
Right.
He had a very pedestrian day. He took a lot of sacks. Some he really had no chance, but some he didn't really need to. Pedestrian day from him. I still think he's good. I don't think this is indicative of anything. He's still a young quarterback. He still needs to develop. I don't think his O-line really did him many favors this game.
Yeah, the O-line was way off this game. Now, they were
Yes.
banged up. There was a lot of injuries going on, so you have to keep that in mind.
Sure, but still, you can't suck.
Yeah. I think they'll be better off. I think their O-line was really actually like kind of fucked up. They missed like a quarter and a half with like the best offensive lineman they have, according to Jordan Ta'amu and according to the announcer. They're like, I mean, it didn't stick out to me, but they're like, this guy literally runs the entire O-line.
I can
He
see how
makes
that'd be an
every
issue.
adjustment.
I could see how that would be a problem then. So, but still, they played very badly. But there are also just some things that Ta'amu could have done. Now he wasn't all bad. Like he made something out of nothing a lot. He's still good. Just a rough game against a defense that is either really hot or really cold, I suppose. So.
Right. The thing here, I think, is they really committed to containing him.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't running today. How many rushing yards did he get? 31 was decent, but on 5 attempts. I think those numbers get sort of inflated a little bit when you're a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like 6.2 average seems like a lot for a running back, but for like a quarterback, when you run and you can get yards, you're usually getting a bunch of yards. Because if you can run, that means there's no one around you and no one's chasing you. So, but I think they contained him a lot more. They did not do any of the RPO stuff in this game.
Yeah,
They
which
were
was
really
interesting
staying away
to
from
me.
that.
I don't know why they didn't.
I remember on the commentators, the announcers, they were talking about, I think they had someone, who was it? Whoever they're off, Chuck Long. Maybe they had Chuck, they were talking to Chuck Long. That they were saying, when you play a team that's a man defense team like the Defenders are, that RPO stuff is a lot harder.
Okay.
And they're like, we just kind of game planned it out. Like, we'll do a little bit of it. We can't do too much of it because they play the exact defense that counters it, so we can't really run that. I think that takes a huge chunk out of their offense.
Mm-hmm. I need to do more research on this matter. So okay.
So that was I think one of their main issues. Obviously, they still have receivers who can get things done. DeMornay Pearson-L not doing anything in this game.
No, but also I think just it wasn't in the game flow for him to do stuff. So
yeah, the run game still worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I think they just needed their passing game to come along, and it just didn't. But I think the run game was still solid. Kristen Michael's still trending up. Since me saying they should cut him, he's trended up. So
yeah,
that's how it be. But I just don't think what happened a lot today is they got into the red zone, or at least they were driving, then the drives just stalled. They could not get in the end zone.
They just couldn't do anything with it. Yeah.
Was it 2 field goals today? Did anyone get a touchdown, or was it 2 field goals? It was 2 field goals.
It was 2 field goals, yeah.
So yeah, they stalled out. They just couldn't get in the end zone, and that's a problem.
Yes.
So let's talk about why they couldn't get in the end zone. Let's talk about the DC Defenders defense.
All right.
Coverage today. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great either.
It was fine.
I think
it was fine.
I think it was a lot more the pass rush that affected it.
Yes.
I think they were fine. Obviously, they were banged up. I think what's his name, Elijah Campbell, went out real early.
Yeah.
And they lost 2 key defensive players. Who was the other one? They lost 2 big important guys on their defense immediately.
Wasn't it
Who was it that got injured? I'm forgetting now.
I'm drawing a blank as well.
I'm blanking, but all right.
Me too. But there was
Beside
somebody.
that point, they lost. It was a linebacker, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't anyone in the secondary, but they lost one of their key linebackers. And they lost Elijah Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Yet
Was
still,
it Scooby Wright? It must have been Scooby Wright.
I think it might have been Scooby Wright. I think you're right. So they lost those 2 guys. Despite that, they were still able to get after the quarterback a lot. They were getting to Jordan Ta'amu, and that affects the passing game. Obviously, they couldn't stop the run too much. I did like Raheem Moore's coverage. I think Raheem Moore, what did he get? I almost felt like he got a sack, but he must not have got a sack. I remember him making a play that I was like, that's a super impressive play.
He had a pass
forgetting
deflection.
what it was. Yes, he did. I don't know if that was that. It was something I was super impressive. Like, all right, Raheem Moore. So this is a team that is without Matt Elam at this point.
Yes, for some reason.
I still don't know why that is, but I think they could use him, obviously.
Yep.
But I think overall, their defense played with a lot more energy today. That was the biggest difference.
I think a lot of it's because they started hot.
Yes.
And I think they kind of just kept rolling as it went along. So it's easy to do that. It's easy to play well it's easy to play excited when you're winning.
Yes.
So.
And they were at home.
Yes. This was kind of the more exactly home. This is kind of the more swarming defense we saw week 1 and week 2.
Yep.
So, and they're fun to watch, but this might just
only
be
when they're at home though. When they go on the road, they're
they suck.
snacking on Cheetos and shit and slowing themselves down.
Slowing themselves down, eating garbage food, just getting all bloated and disgusting.
Mm-hmm. They're eating that fast food because they don't know any of the local restaurants.
There's
I know McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Exactly. So
Wingstop Fat Boy need a 10-piece.
So obviously they played really aggressive today, and I think that's the key difference. And when they're at home and they're away, they need to figure out how to win on the road. I think the more interesting thing to talk about in this game, I think, is how the offense for the defenders played.
Yep.
So they leaned on the run. They leaned on the run a lot in this one, and that doesn't usually work against the Battlehawks. But for whatever reason, it worked today. So how many carries did we get in total? So I'm just going to take out they did a lot of trickery in terms of
Trickeration.
bringing, guys, jet sweeps, shit like that. That worked. They definitely worked.
Mm-hmm.
But they ran the ball a lot with Jarrell Presley and Donnell Pumphrey. Obviously, Jarrell Presley had a productive-ass day.
Yes,
107 yards, 7.1 average per carry. But I think this is much different than we've seen, and this is the taking card out of the game after throwing an interception effect. When you're like, well, do we trust Tyree Jackson to throw 30 times a game, 40 times a game? No, because he's like Philip Nelson. We don't trust him. So let's run the ball a ton.
Yeah.
Instead of running the ball 10 times total and letting Philip Nelson throw 49 attempts. I'm still angry about that. So, yes, they decided, let's run the ball 30 times this game, and it worked. And that doesn't usually work against the Battlehawks, and I'm curious to see why when I look back at the stats and who was making those mistakes, why the running lanes were so open. But I think the biggest key here, the biggest key for why the defense played better was energy. Aggressiveness. Biggest key for why the defenders played better was back to creativity. I don't know why in the last 2 weeks Pep Hamilton was like, I'm not going to be creative and run interesting things. I can only do that at home. I like to leave my playbook at home and I don't bring it with me on the road.
I just go off rip on the road, off rip on the road.
Yeah. So he comes back home, decides to do more creative shit, and obviously it works.
Mm-hmm.
Really, no passing game to speak of really in this one.
Yep. Well, speaking of the passing game, let's talk about Cardale Jones and Tyree Jackson.
Yes.
So, first of all, bye Cardale. I don't think we're going to see you again.
Ooh, really? You ready to go there?
If you're as bad as he was for 3 games in a row, yeah.
I'm not ready. I don't know if I'm ready.
I think we're done here. I think we need to see a little more of Tyree Jackson. Obviously, they'll see him all week in practice, and maybe I'm wrong. I've been basically not necessarily wrong, but incorrect about every quarterback decision that's been made so far. So, whatever.
All right, because I've been pretty much right about every quarterback decision that's been made.
Not right in the sense that
I've been correct. If your thing is incorrect, I've been correct.
You've been correct as to what actually happens, but it's not necessarily the right decision.
Okay, so I do think Cardale Jones probably ends up starting next week.
All right.
I think they're like... I think there's pressure. He's a different quarterback. Remember when I said the thing with Brandon Silvers, the thing with Aaron Murray, is like, these guys aren't Tom Brady. This guy is one of the biggest names in the XFL.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of pressure to start him in that way. Also, he was so damn good in the first 2 weeks that you're just like, maybe it's something like, I bet you Cardale was standing there thinking, well, it's because you're being more creative. You would have let me just go out there and play. I would have done more shit. We weren't running like this in the last 2 weeks. We weren't running like this on that first drive.
I don't think the creativity of the offense has anything to do with him just missing people.
But I bet you there's that argument being said.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the best case of why I think Tyree Jackson should start is his touchdown pass to Kari Lee. It was great. His feet were set. The ball fucking zipped out of his hands. It was a fucking laser beam. It was great. Now compare that to Cardale Jones's most recent passes where it was like, oh, fuck, oh, my feet, oh, God, and kind of lopped it up a little bit. Not a lob, but a lop. Completely different. Different concept entirely. Right. And it's just like, I think you got to go with the guy whose mechanics are there, the guy who you can mold, not the guy who is just all arm.
So the question is, like, is 14 pass attempts a game sustainable?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I think it'd be hard to say it is because we don't feel like it is for the Dragons.
I think 14 is sustainable for any team.
Yeah, I have a hard time, especially when you have the weapons that you do have. When you have a Rashad Ross, when you have an Eli Rogers, when you have a Kari Lee, like, you're just gonna let those guys block.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think Cardale Jones, he showed that he can be good. You just gotta make it easy for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is and what they need to do, but they were doing it in the first 2 weeks. They need to reflect. I don't think it's time to bench Cardale Jones. I think you just really need to reevaluate, like, what went wrong and what went right in those first 2 weeks and try to get back to that.
I just think Cardale has not improved on anything that he's needed to improve on since college.
That's true.
So I think if he was going to get better, he would have. So I mean that's just what I think. I don't know shit about.
I don't think it's the fact of him getting better. Just I think there's more upside with Cardale than there is Tyree. I think Cardale, those flashes, the things you see, it's like there's a lot of good, and with that good comes a lot of bad. But you can do things in ways to hide weaknesses, show off strengths, and they just got to figure out what that is. I don't think they know that, and I think that's their problem. Also, I don't think Cardale is like a top guy, obviously. Yeah. But I don't think he's like the worst. He's not a bad passer in the same way that B.J. Daniels is a bad passer. They'll think he's better than Brandon Silvers. I just think you could win games with him. You just have to figure it out. And I'm not a coach, and I don't know how to figure it out.
I don't know how to figure it out.
But you're a coach, and this is what you get paid for. I think Cardale Jones is a better player than Tyree Jackson. I just think he's more inconsistent. You have to figure out how to hide his flaws.
I would agree with you if this were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I think at this point, Cardale is not where he needs to be. I think you got to see at least... I mean, I think it'll be a situation where they give him both a look in practice, kind of like how the other things do, and then whoever does better in practice will get the shot. But Cardale's footwork has not cleaned up. He's still panicking. He's still just making dumb passes, dumb reads. It's just stuff that can't happen. So,
Yeah, I'm curious why. I don't remember whose press conference. I'm just going to say Pep Hamilton, though it might not have been, why he came out and been like, this was the game plan. Nope, Cardale's starting next week. I don't know what you guys are thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's weird.
Yeah, he was getting roasted for that.
Yeah, rightfully so. It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, we planned on, throwing interception the first. The plan was to, convince them that we were
bad.
We were
Them
bad,
into a false
so that we
sense
could
of
hustle
security.
them. All right, let's talk about the Battlehawks defense.
Okay, uncharacteristically bad day.
Yeah.
They were getting blown off the ball. Basically every run play, like really bad, like very, very noticeably. And that doesn't let their linebackers work. They weren't bringing as much pressure as they usually do.
Before you go on, here's a bad sign that shows you're not bringing much pressure. When the guys who have the quarterback hits on your team are Kenny Robinson and Will Hill, you have a problem.
Yes, precisely. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's just uncharacteristic day for them is all. Maybe they got the away game itis, but just weird day for them. Like everything that they usually is one of their strengths was just not there. Like usually they're pretty consistent with bringing pressure. Usually they're pretty good with setting a pocket. Not setting a pocket. That's what offensive linemen do. Like containing is a better word.
Yes.
And it just wasn't there. Their run stopping obviously wasn't there. Now, they did do a lot where Presley, by the way, has had tremendous vision and patience in this game. He just looked really good in that regard. He would kind of
great because I was all over him, and then he hasn't done shit recently until this game.
Yes, but otherwise, just even basically on every level, secondary, not really a good day. A decent day, but not fantastic. Mostly on the tackling side. Coverage, they didn't really need to work too hard. Carly, again, just kind of sprang open whenever he kind of wanted to because he's good at that. Yeah, just an uncharacteristic bad day from the Battlehawks defense. So
I
even
think the
Terrence
secondary
Garvin
was fine in this
Yeah.
one. I just think really it's like that the front seven did not perform today. I don't know what it is. And it's probably just going on the road. Even though DC's not all that far from St. Louis, but
that's far enough.
maybe they were also eating the cheeseburgers and the McDonald's and the 10-piece.
Perhaps.
And they
When you
didn't have
stop
the
that boy,
energy
need
in
a
this one.
10-piece. My favorite Rick Ross line of all time.
Kenny Robinson had that great interception. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That one where he caught with his hands on the ground and just bounced.
That
off
was
the
really
ground.
cool. That looked really nice. That looked hot.
It looked hot, Kenny.
Yes.
You're younger
Hot
than
Kenny.
us. That's weird.
Everyone's younger than us. We're getting old.
But okay. Yeah, they just couldn't bring pressure. They couldn't stop the run. Their front seven got bullied all game. And part of that was the creativity of the offense to confuse them, apparently.
Yeah.
Because they probably game planned for the last 2 weeks. We're like,
Yeah.
all right, well. And then they come out here and they start doing some funky shit, bringing these wide receivers across the field and faking motion and shit like that. And it was like, all right, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing now.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Okay, let's
Precisely.
talk about our last game.
All
Before
right.
we wrap this thing up. All right, this was the best game of the weekend.
I'm actually the most excited to talk about this one.
This was a fantastic
This was
game.
an awesome fucking game.
If you're gonna put a game on at 9:00 at night,
This
at
was
least
the
make
fucking
it
one to
good,
put
and they
on.
did.
Because I was thinking about texting you like, hey, if this is a blowout, like let's just do the show tonight. And then it kept going, and I was like, oh fuck, bitch. So
Yeah, not a blowout. This was a fun one.
this was awesome.
Let's start with the Vipers offense, who were surprisingly good in this one.
Yes. Taylor Cornelius, he looks in control and very comfortable. He had 2 picks, but he also had 2 touchdowns. He looks good. I think he's the guy, honestly. I don't know what Quentin Flowers' personal business was that made him leave the team for a week, but I think it definitely cost him. He's moving around the pocket nice. He has a better sense of pressure. He's more accurate, and he's decent on the move, too.
Oh yeah,
He had a really good game. On the stat sheet, it just kind of looks like he did fine because of the 2 picks, but he had a really good game.
no, he was super solid. 300
Yes.
yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 187 rating. But he also put up 45 on the ground, which while a second ago I was like, 5 for 31 for Jordan Thomas isn't that great. For a guy like Taylor Cornelius, who's not a running quarterback, that's pretty significant.
That's pretty great, yeah.
Also a rushing touchdown, so that's pretty significant. So that's 3 total touchdowns on the day.
Yep.
He's good at spreading the ball around. They have weapons, and I've been saying it since the beginning of the year that they have weapons. I remember when we had our argument about Aaron Murray and Quentin Flowers, I was like,
yes.
The problem isn't that this offense doesn't have weapons. The problem is that Aaron Murray's bad.
Yes.
Because these guys are good. They have good guys, and they showed it off today. 3 guys went off. Dan Williams, Reese Horn, Jalen Tolliver all went off in this one. A touchdown for Jalen Tolliver, a touchdown for Reese Horn. This was an absolute shootout, so it was super fun to watch, too.
Yep.
Obviously, the ground game, they were committed to it, and it opens up play action. And, even though you might average 2.9 per carry, Devion Smith, the fact that you ran 24 times makes the defense go, hey, they might run it here, so let's not, sell out to stop the pass.
Also,
like
just
we would do
body
against,
blows.
Like we would do against the Renegades if we were playing.
Yes. Yes.
And Philip Nelson threw 49 times.
Yes.
Because then we'll just tell it to stop the pass. They're going to pass.
Fuck it.
But no, they were like, we're going to run it. So they ran it. They had a balanced offense in this one. And I think that helps you win games. You can run more play action off of it. It also slows down pass rushers. And that lets you shoot. Now the problem I had with this offense is that this offense was super, super good in the first half. And then I think it's you know what? I can see the scoring breakdown and when things started breaking down here. All right, it was the second half of the second half of the second quarter, and then the entire third quarter, they literally didn't get a touchdown or any kind of points. It was 3 and outs consistently during that stretch, and you can't have stretches like that because then it's touchdown LA, touchdown LA, touchdown LA, touchdown LA, and then finally you get a field goal in the fourth quarter after giving up. That's 4 touchdowns they gave up to LA in the second, third, and fourth quarter. What's
not
that?
ideal.
What's 6 times 4? Because I'm bad at math.
24. Yep.
24 unanswered points in 2 quarters is not ideal.
Not ideal.
Okay? So you need to be able to score. You can't be inconsistent. It was a great day, and I'm glad they picked it back up at the end. But you just can't slow down like that. Anything else you want to say about this offense?
Let's take a peek at my notes.
Take a peekaboo.
Take a peekaboo. Like we mentioned, the rushing attack is just crazy go nuts. As I've mentioned before, this is just a very fun offense to watch.
It is.
I think a lot of that, which is weird, because if you look at week 1, it's like, where the fuck? Yeah, I mean,
you can look back on our argument. I was like, they have guys, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on,
bro.
They got dudes. Davion Smith is a monster. I didn't know Jaquez Patrick was as good as he is. I'll give you that one. One was surprising. But
yeah,
I knew Davion Smith was a monster, and I knew they had some monsters in Nick Truesdell, Dan Williams, Jalen Tolliver, Reese Horn. All those guys were super good.
Yep.
It's just like passes were being thrown behind them.
Yeah. I really think I'm still just impressed with Taylor Cornelius. I think that's my biggest takeaway from these last couple of weeks. So
I'm really liking that about the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made this point a few times whenever we talk about starters and backups and who should start and shit. That it's like I'm happy because it's like this isn't the NFL where it's like the seeded starter is the best guy on your team and that's obvious. Yeah. Right? It's like almost every team probably has a guy who's almost equivalent to the starter at their backup spot because the gap between starter and backup probably isn't too huge.
Yeah.
So you can go with your third guy. Taylor Cornelius is the third guy on the depth chart. You can go to your third guy on the depth chart and he's your best player somehow.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's great. So that's something I've really come to like at the XFL. But okay, let's talk about Wildcats defense now.
All right.
Neither defense did great in this one.
No.
You can tell because it's a shootout.
Yes.
But I will give the defense credit for that little stretch they got there where they completely shut it down.
Yep.
Good enough against the run, obviously. I mean, how many carries did Devion Smith get? 24, and he only got 69 yards. It's not bad. Ahmad Dixon is one of my favorite players because he's the kind of safety I like. That likes to hit the shit out of people. He had one hit in that game that he got flagged on, which I don't know if it was a flag, and I don't totally agree with it, but it was a big-ass hit. He loves to crowd the line. Not crowd the line, but he likes to, stop the run.
I get what you're saying.
play more of a linebacker role. Big hitter, like him a lot. Will Smith is another guy that consistently every week is doing good things against the run. Jack Tocho had the interception today. And then our boy Tawan Jones had an interception.
That's right, friend of the show.
But they took it away on a penalty.
I know. I was big mad.
He also had another interception that he dropped.
I know. I was like, damn it.
So friend of the show, Tawan Jones almost had 2 interceptions on the day. But sadly, we don't get to do that. I'm still not blown away by anyone on their front 7. Cedric Reed is a guy who stands out to me every week, and I almost put him in our top defensive lineman when we were doing Midseason Awards because he is consistently like he fills stats.
Yeah.
And he's a productive guy.
Yeah.
But their D-line does have problems for me. But he's probably my favorite player on their D-line is Cedric Reed.
The thing about the Wildcats is I don't want to say they have an unremarkable defense, but they just seem to like they're better as a sum of their parts than the parts. Like they work better as a unit than they do have like individual good players. In my eyes,
they were surprisingly good against the run today compared to because they are the league's worst run defense statistically.
Yes.
They're better against the run today against such a good running team, so I'll give them credit for that. I think their secondary is a little underrated, but like also it isn't great. I think it's just like middle of the pack.
Yeah.
But it could appear worse. I think their defense is inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it looks like the defense we thought it should be, and then sometimes it looks like, oh man, this defense is like bottom tier.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they have to do to figure that out. But I think you got to give them credit. They play with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
You know? And
they're definitely well
I think
coached.
That's one of the most important things. Also, big man interception today.
Yes, I saw
hour.
it, and I was so mad that he didn't go all the way because he was so close.
Yeah, he was. But we got to love a big man interception. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you that they play better together than they are individually, even though they have a lot of talent.
Yep.
They should be a super talented defense. And something's not clicking there. And they just got to figure out how to be consistent. 34 points, though they won the game. You don't want to be giving up 34 points. You gave the people now think the Vipers' offense is good when they didn't a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Now they've been playing better because what was it? It was a good game against Houston. Had a good game against who did they play last week? Defenders.
Yes.
And then they have a good game against you. So obviously things are trending up. Okay.
Yes.
So, maybe it's just now it's 3 weeks in a row. They were absolutely the worst offense in the league 3 weeks ago, and then they've had 3 good games, and so maybe it's not all in the Wildcats. Maybe this is actually just a good offense.
Perhaps.
Okay, let's talk about Wildcats offense real quick.
All right. Josh motherfucking Johnson is good at the footballs.
He's a stud.
Yes.
But
him yelling
thing I'm
at his
gonna point out
OC
here-
was hilarious.
Oh yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go for that.
That's all. It was hilarious because the OC literally picks up the phone and he's like, "Stop arguing, just call damn plays," and then hangs up and he's like, "Well, all right," and then hangs up.
But the funny thing about that is like, I made a tweet and it was probably one of our most liked tweets that we've had in a while.
Yes.
Where I was like, Josh Johnson wildin', but that's okay because he's good. See Matt McGloin for an example of the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because,
if you got it like that, you got it like that.
But also the other thing is like it's a different kind of wildin'.
Yeah, it's not. We just
he's
absolutely
not really
suck.
being a douche.
Yeah.
Like, Matt McGloin's argument came off as like, I'm better than you. You coaches don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing.
You don't know what you're talking
like, you don't.
about,
Your
yeah.
game plan's all wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas his were like, we're winning. Calm down. Stop arguing. Things are going well.
Yeah.
Which is a better, it's a better philosophy to take as a quarterback.
It's more positive.
Yeah, it's a better philosophy to be like, things are being good. Chill out. Than to be
Yeah.
like, you're dumb. You don't know what you're doing.
You're dumb.
That was Matt. So that's the difference there. And Josh
Yes.
Johnson also can just he demands more respect. A 14-year veteran, one of the best quarterbacks in the XFL. And when you can talk a little shit to people and you can be a little cocky. And I don't even think he was being all that cocky. He is a talker. I will say he is a talker.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that comes with the territory.
But he's work. He deserves it. He can be a talker.
He's been around.
Thomas likes to say that I hate people who are cocky.
You hate people who are cocky that you have no affiliation towards.
What affiliation do I have towards Josh Johnson?
You love Stephon Diggs, yes? For the moment, until he gets traded, which is inevitably happening.
Wait, say that again?
You really big fan of Stephon Diggs, right?
No.
You were, not after this year.
No,
but you were.
I've consistently been telling you that Adam Thielen is better wide receiver than Stephon Diggs.
Okay, you're wrong, but also...
we can look back at our texts and look at, I always place Adam Thielen higher than him.
Again, wrong, but...
But your argument there is incorrect.
How is my argument incorrect?
Because you just said that I like Stephon Diggs a lot when I've consistently been like, he's good, but
all I'm saying is if Stephon Diggs was, say, on the Packers or, say, the New Orleans Saints, and he did the stuff that, like, say that Minneapolis Miracle happened, but it was like the Saints and it was Stephon Diggs on the Saints, you'd be like, oh, he threw his helmet. What a cock.
I don't think I would say that. But
I think you would.
I don't think I would. I mean, people can celebrate. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. As long as they're in your team. As long as they're in your team.
What do I have against... let me think of
you hate the Eagles.
I don't hate the Eagles all that much.
You don't hate them anymore, but you did.
But, like, who do I hate on the Eagles? And I'm like, you cocky dude, I hate you.
You were like, you guys said you were the underdogs. You weren't the fucking underdogs.
Well, okay, that was actually a factual statement.
No, it wasn't. When their quarterback was hurt, they were, yes, very much the underdogs.
We had Case Keenum at quarterback.
He was your starter. Still, it didn't matter.
No, he wasn't. Sam Bradford was our starter.
Sam Bradford sucks.
I'm just saying, we were also in a similar situation.
Not a factual statement.
So you're telling me right now Case Keenum is better than Nick Foles?
Yes.
That's a crazy statement.
If you look at every
Super Bowl
other
winner
year,
Nick Foles is...
What has he done besides that?
What else has Case Keenum done?
He's been relatively
got benched
solid.
in Washington.
He's been relatively solid throughout his whole career.
Did you say
relatively
solid? His whole
solid?
career?
No, he's been relatively solid.
Nick.
Okay, hold on. Before I get ripped to shreds, Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Case Keenum.
I'm about to say you are going to get ripped to shreds.
Before I get Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Case Keenum. Let's be clear. But all I'm saying is, whatever. We're talking about NFL stuff now, but just if
it started with me saying I like Josh Johnson being cocky.
Yes, but if it was like on a team that you hated, you'd be like, "Oh, what a cocky fuck! He probably hates his dad," or something like that.
I don't know. You're kind of wilding.
Whatever.
Okay, let's go back to talking about the Wildcats.
Yeah, with XFL. Woo!
Instead of our excursion of our dynamic and our relationship, people get to see the insight.
Yes.
Here's my only flaw here. Mm-hmm. And this probably isn't a flaw because they win the game and they probably need to do this. Josh Johnson's your leading rusher.
Yeah, their run game has really not been good.
No, they don't have a run game.
Really, the whole season. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they don't have a run game, so that's problematic, and that probably will rear its ugly head at some point.
Yes.
And it has in the past.
Yes.
It didn't in this one because things were working. But overall, like, Saeed Blacknell?
Yes, he had an awesome catch.
Blacknell. He had a great game.
That one catch he had that was deep ball was beautiful. That was a beautiful
couple great
ball.
Catches, ran a couple great routes. Yeah, he had a good game. Jordan Smallwood, also, he's like solid, but like he's not a guy I'd want to be my number one guy.
He's just not consistent enough right now. Kind of the same thing we talked about. He had a really good catch run after the catch, or some missed tackles by the Viper defense. But yeah, I mean he's just not developed. He's not a number one receiver by any means right now.
Yeah, Adonis Jennings had one of the worst drops I've seen in football history.
Yeah, that was really not very good. But he also had a really nice catch earlier in the game. So
yeah. So anyway, overall they lean on their pass a lot, and it worked in this game. So let's talk, because I want to talk about this. Let's talk about the Vipers' defense.
Let's do it.
This is like my favorite segment of the week, even though we get
I bet
angry.
it is. I feel
so,
like,
you ready for me to like not get angry this week?
Because they were fine.
They were fine.
They were fine.
They weren't great, but they weren't.
They were fine.
For what the situation was, it's like, obviously it was a shootout. You're gonna, you gave up a lot of points, but it wasn't like the worst.
Yeah.
Like,
I
There was
think
like a couple bad plays, but like it wasn't, as you would say, like epic fuck ups in this game. It was just,
Yes. Their secondary, I think the worst thing I can really say about their secondary is they took some really bad angles when a ball carrier had the ball. Coverage, they were pretty decent. I can't really, even though, I mean, the point
the
total
things they were
would suggest
getting beat
otherwise.
on were like they just had a guy running straight really fast. And
Yeah,
they just got
and I
outrun,
mean,
which is like you can't.
I think I've
Sometimes
noticed-
you can't do much about that.
Their safeties are not very good and manned up. So
Yeah.
if their safeties are asked to cover a guy one-on-one, that's going to be the weak spot of their defense. And kind of like how I said last week, this defense will live and die by pressure
And the pressure did not get here too much in this one.
Yes. So I mean, that's just how it goes.
And they kind of left their game plan. They weren't bringing. I was seeing plenty of 4-man rushes in this one,
Yeah.
which is vastly different than what they were trying to do
Yes.
a week ago.
Yes.
You know? So I think that was problematic.
Damn.
Don't abandon that crazy blitz that you were doing, because that stuff's good.
Yeah.
But also, like, there was a couple situations. Whose catch was it? Was it C. Blacknall who had that? Like, I don't even know who was covering him. That there was literally nothing. That guy was. There was a couple situations where, because that's not the only play. That's the one that sticks out in my mind. There's like literally no better way to cover that guy.
Yeah, just sometimes the
caught
offense wins. I mean, it
Like,
just
he
it
just
happens.
caught
I
it.
think it was the Blacknall catch because that was such an awesome catch.
Yeah,
Sometimes the
you
offense
just
wins.
catch 'em.
I mean,
And
it
it's
just
like,
happens.
what are you gonna do? You
can't-
couldn't have covered him. You were literally in his face. Like your hands were his hands, but his hands were a little bit longer.
Yeah, you can't be just like I said. You can't be just balling out of control all the time.
Yeah. So I don't feel like either of us got to further our defense here.
I mean,
necessarily.
they're fine. I never said they were bad. I said they were fine. They just
But
need to
I
be more
think
consistent.
as
Now they
things will
have
go
been more
on-
consistently fine, so that's good.
Well, that was one of your categories that you said they weren't consistent.
Yeah, they need to be. I mean, they've been consistently fine. That's fine.
So they will continue, hopefully, as that continues. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm curious who they play next game. So let me take a gander here. Who they play next game? 'Cause
They play the Battlehawks, so it will be
So-
the epic showdown.
That'll be pretty fun to watch. I'm like low key a Vipers fan too.
I've picked
You
up on
remember-
that, sir.
Do you remember during the off season where I was like, "Can I also be a Vipers fan?" And you were like, "No."
And I was like, hell no, you already made your choice. And then I was like, fuck, the Roughnecks are now the best team.
Yeah. So my team
You really
is already
came out
the
on
best
top
team.
here, yeah.
But
Fuck.
the Vipers are my second team sitting at 1-4. So they're my bad
Yeah.
team. And the Roughnecks are my good team.
Okay.
So I like the Vipers a lot because I like their weapons. I've always liked their weapons, and I like their defense. And I think they're fun to watch. They're really fun
Yep.
to watch this season. Which is surprising. After week 1 and week 2, you would not have thought the words
Yeah.
fun to watch in this team would not have been in the season.
Would not have been synonymous, correct.
So anyway, fantastic. Any players you want to spotlight here?
On the Vipers defense, yes, actually.
Yes. Okay.
So, Nikita Whitlock, your boy, really good up front. He's not necessarily now. He does have 2 QB hits and 2 tackles for loss, but he did a really great job getting off the ball. He's very quick. He's got a really great first step. Just really liked what I saw to him. He kind of popped out. Matt Hanneman is number 27.
I want to
He's
say
the
it's
white-
Mark Hanneman.
Mark Hanneman. It's Micah
Micah
Hanneman.
Hanneman.
We are both wrong. I don't know why the fuck I said Matt.
I said
But
Mark. I was closer. I think I had a C.
He's kind of been the guy that's been the weakest link in the defensive backfield for the Vipers, but he actually had an okay game. He was the victim of Jordan Smallwood's long catch or a long run after the catch because he took a horrific angle.
Right.
But he actually was okay. I've kind of been watching him because he's been kind of just bleh the last couple games. So he was okay. He had a better game. Hopefully it continues.
Right. Yeah, I think just as a unit, they played fine in this game. It's like just sometimes when you're in a shootout, it's a shootout, and it doesn't necessarily mean your defense is bad.
Yeah, it just happens.
Sometimes it's just that's how the game is going. When
Yeah.
every play is like fucking a deep ball, like occasionally some of them are gonna hit.
Yeah,
That's what happens in this one.
I agree.
Okay, let's talk. Oh, we got through everything, huh? That's it.
And we're at under 2 hours, just under 2 hours, but under 2
Okay.
hours.
Well, I mean, we hit 2 hours. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. It felt shorter than it was actually.
Yeah. So
I actually did, honestly. That kind of flew by. Probably because it's not it's not dark outside. So
Yeah, because now we're not trying to get it over with.
we're not like,
Like we normally are. Like we gotta go to bed, man. I gotta edit this shit. Which I still have to. I'm kind of in a time crunch to edit this shit, but it probably shouldn't take me too long.
Yeah. So to our listeners, if you asked a question to us, whether intermittently, I know we didn't put a post out because we didn't plan to have viewer questions.
Yes.
But we didn't answer it. Ask it again next week. We will answer it next week or on our preview show, and we will answer it on the preview show.
Yes. Let me think of something like exciting or fun to say is happening that isn't like the norm. I don't know.
That isn't the norm. What do you mean?
I don't know. Like sometimes, like, but next week we're doing this. You know, like,
Next week, the clownery countdown is back. Maybe if we come up with a good idea.
You committed to it. You better think of a good idea because you're the one who committed to it.
That's fine. I'm down for some clownery. Hey, if you listeners out there have a good idea for a clownery countdown, send it our way at XFL Extra Point on Twitter.
That's a smart idea. Outsource our work to our fans.
That's right. You do the work for us. We don't have to do shit.
So yeah, if you guys want to hear us like power rank something stupid, like man, the reason we haven't done this is because we can't think of anything. So I was trying to use an example.
Open season doesn't even have to be about XFL football.
That's true. It's
anything.
Just some clownery for us to have fun.
Do something stupid, something funny, something not. I mean, it can be gross, I guess, but like not within reason.
Not inappropriate.
Not like top 10 dicks you've seen in your life or something. Cause
I could probably power rank that.
I don't think I've seen 10 dicks in my life.
No,
that are not mine.
I for sure have.
Oh, no, we played high school football.
Yeah.
Yep. But
And there's also like pornography.
I tried to think about that. That's not really what I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
But it's there.
It's there, but like
it's not like you got like a sensor on it.
It's like your nose. Like you see it all the time, but you don't. You're not like damn, that's my nose. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. Well, this has devolved into a weird conversation. If you guys enjoy the show,
2 hour mark, baby.
If you guys enjoy the show, make sure you go follow us on Twitter. Show us some love there, and that's how we interact with y'all. And we love doing that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I try to be creative and like smart and like put out cool tweets on the weekend. I don't really tweet too much during the week because I'm doing other shit.
Yes,
but
I've had rough couple weekends at work. Not rough as in bad, just long. So I've been not as active on Twitter as I would like to during the games. I think
it's okay. Yours always piss people off somehow.
Well, whatever.
I don't know what it is. You don't tweet all that much, but it's like you'll tweet one or two, and it's like yours are the one that people are like, you're wrong.
But it's the ones also that are like generally like I try to be as broad as I can, and it's just like someone is like no, and it's like what the fuck?
I never have that problem. It's so funny.
The Landry Jones one is the one that gets me the most because it's like I literally said nothing.
You had one this weekend.
I said I had one this. Did I have one this weekend? I don't even remember.
Where someone immediately commented on it. And I was like,
I said like the Wildcats, and I was right because I said the Wildcats can come back, and they're like, nah, you're wrong, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, I was right. Like, damn it.
It feels like if I would have tweeted that, no one would have commented on it.
Whatever. Maybe we should start signing our tweets like a little hyphen.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should start doing that because then people will know to gun for me because they'll know I'll respond.
Yeah, the thing is maybe people are realizing like I don't respond, so they kind of can tell.
Yeah, I usually try to respond. Not that I always need to have the last word, but like I like to.
I think that might be it. But okay, thanks guys so much. We'll see you on Friday. See you guys.
Bye.
This is the XFL.